Welcome, Craig.
Yeah.
Craig. Welcome. Yay! All right. Welcome to the Strange Seas one shot. Woo! Shara's first GMing.
Yeah, it's gonna go great.
Freaking out a little bit on the inside. This is gonna be super fun.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Okay. We are running Fate Accelerated tonight, and let's start by talking about characters a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Keep going.
we've got Mallory.
Arr!
Yes. The we've got Mallory, we've got the good doctor. How do you pronounce your name?
Dr. Rika Verlein.
Oh my gosh, that is so elegant. Oh, like,
Also terrifying.
I'm gonna kill you with elegance. Yes. Deadly elegance.
It's a little more terrifying because I read most of the backstory that you put up there.
Wow. So what do you think the crew calls you if they're not quite as elegant?
I call him Riku.
I call him Doc. Nothing much more than that. Just call him Doc.
Yeah, I assume that if anyone actually tries to use my name and doesn't pronounce it perfectly, I immediately correct them without even thinking about it. It's just like...
It's fine, Richard. It's fine.
All sorts of relationship dynamics there.
Yeah.
That's okay. You can't get to me. I'm about to crow's
But
nest.
like, it's not even like
Right.
it's not even out of annoyance or anything. It's just like almost just a tick that I'm like, that's not my name. And so just so it's just like, like, Ricky, can you do this? And it's like, Rika, and yes, I might be able to do that if you give me a moment. Like, this.
Yes, perfect. Yes, and Oliver Lost Soul Harrowing.
That's me.
Goes nest all the time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Who is also afraid of heights.
Terrified of heights. Thank you very much.
Terrified.
In between is terrifying. Up and down is terrifying. Once I'm up there, it's pristine. It's glorious. I can hear the waves. I can see the water. I just can't look down.
There's something for me to hold on to.
There's something for me to hold on to, but if I look down, I'm done.
It's a little bit.
It's kind of bad when they're like, "Okay, yo, when you see land, it's land, ahoy!"
Nice.
Instead of land ho, it's a little more land.
Yeah,
Yes.
too much.
Yes, and I kind of didn't give you a chance, Mallory,
Yeah.
to say who you are.
Ah.
Or just like Mallory, I don't know what we've been chatting about what your backstory is, but I don't know how much the crew would know. Like, how does the crew know Mallory?
Mallory is. I haven't figured this out yet.
That's okay.
Totally
I mean,
fine.
she's just boss pirate lady. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So,
Awesome.
Mallory was found on an island that the crew stopped at, and she agreed to be their navigator in exchange for passage.
Oh.
Fair enough.
Is this been a long time? Like, has she been the navigator for a long time, or is she just kind of still there for contract reasons?
I think she's been there for a while.
Okay, yeah. Dig it. Very cool. Maybe a bit more of the crew than just a contract nowadays.
Yeah,
Cool. Yes.
like
very,
over time
very
she's
cool.
gotten to be part of the. Initially, it was just like, hey, I got marooned here. Can you give me a lift?
Yeah. Right. Like you do.
Like you do.
You do. I've been. I also have the idea of like, or the thought that nobody's asked her why she's been marooned. It's just like, I've just been marooned here, and we're like, cool.
They're just like, okay, it happened. You know,
Maybe eventually
get a
we'll
little
ask,
maroon
but
once in a while.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
We're all pirates here.
Yeah.
We're gonna...
I don't really think that's any of our business.
I'm up in my crow's nest. I don't know what is going on down there.
Would not. Right. And we're missing our lovely little granny because she's sick tonight.
Yeah, I had to lock her in her room, and she's getting too wild. So y'all know Granny's my little sister, so it's kind of a package deal.
Can I just imagine her like gnawing your arm as you like take like
Stop it! Go back.
He's a feisty little old soul.
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much.
And Chris, do you have any sort of vision for who your character is, or like a name?
Yeah, so I
Something
finished
we can roll
my thing like well, I haven't even finished it,
I
but
haven't either.
Oh well,
but
that's totally fine. I mean, a name and a general idea, that's you can fly with
I
that.
hope I don't slaughter this accent, but Sakate, I am Jean-Louis, I am the cook.
Jean-Louis.
Yes.
I like it.
Jacques Louis,
Jean-Louis.
Jean-Louis.
Jean Louis.
We...
From the island of Haiti.
Oh.
Excellent.
All of the food is way too spicy for any of the rest of us. Like,
I don't mind it so much, but I have to yell out, "Look out below!"
Right? And it's really good for rations. That's why you guys can stay at sea so long, because you're like, I'm hungry, but can I handle it? Maybe I'm not hungry enough.
yet.
Everyone just kind of stretches out the meals, like, I'm still okay.
yeah.
It'll be good. Oh, fantastic. Love
Be
it.
really amused if
Hey.
it is so spicy that like everyone else is freaking out about it and Rika just doesn't like understand what's wrong with all of you. Like, it's just like no, it's fine. Just doesn't react to it in the slightest. Like,
I love it.
Oh, he still got his 3 squares.
This very worst form of
That's awesome. Yeah, so you are the pirate ship, the Poseidon, right?
Poseidon's Point.
What we're
Yeah.
on? Poseidon's Point, right. And the immortal Captain Remington Bradley is your captain of your motley crew, the Bone Breakers. Sailing the strange seas. I don't have a more like official map term of the world yet, but it's basically like if you combined Pirates of the Caribbean with its kind of magiciness, but not like super D&D wizard magiciness. It's there, but it's not as overt. And you combine that with the kind of archipelago land or world of How to Train Your Dragon, but mush those together and it's like a island world. And
How to Train Your Pirates of the Caribbean.
yes, exactly. That's where we are. So there could be totally an island called Haiti. There's a whole lot of real world inspiration from the different places, but it's all so very just out there and whatever at the same time.
Nice.
That is kind of our setting.
I like it. I like it.
Yes. So
Should we have dragons?
No, I'm gonna say no on dragons.
It's
but
fine.
other
I'd be the first
You
one to
guys
go if that was the
sea
case.
Dragons.
beasts that may be in the size class of dragons, I'm gonna say yes.
Sounds great.
So not as many flighty things that are giant in a sea dominant world. So
It's probably a good thing for me. I'll be
Yeah.
the last one off.
Up in the crow's nest, just watching everybody die while it slowly sink.
Alright, awesome. So we've got everyone's names, we've kind of got an idea of the setting. We kind of have different degrees of sheets filled out, and that's totally fine. The concepts and the trouble and the aspects are kind of the way that your character is defined, and you can play off of those. You guys are pretty familiar with Fate. They work very similarly. And having a high concept and a trouble to start out with is highly advised. So kind of your defining quality and something that gets you into trouble a lot. If you don't have those, that's fine. We can just roll with it. And I'm totally fine with filling in details as we go, or just kind of making it up as we go. I'm all totally down with that. But I will say you should have an aspect defined before you're able to invoke it.
Probably. Yeah.
So instead of like,
Even
I
if
want to
you,
do this thing,
like,
so I'm going to make up a thing.
yeah, even if you like figure it out in the moment where you're like, oh, this would make a great aspect and it would help me right now, like you can still do that, but like as long as you're
Yeah.
Right, one before the other.
Yeah, makes sense. I have this great aspect.
Right?
I'm going to tell you about it after I do the thing.
What I did.
When I did this, that was the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, and you, if you have an idea for a stunt, which is basically a thing that you can do once a session, that will, in most cases, give you a +2 to some approach roll.
Okay.
We can make that up. Beyond this session, you would normally get up to 3 before it started impacting your fate points, but we'll just start with 1 if we come up with 1 for now.
I think generally the ones like that you start with 1 no matter what, and I think you can get more in play, but the first 3 just don't count against your refresh.
Yeah. Yes. So the refresh is just how many fate points you regain, and it's the maximum number of fate points you can have stockpiled at any one time.
Cool.
Fate points can give you, they're like, I want to make this situation more favorable to me because of my aspect, or because of this part of the situation. And it makes sense, and pay your fate point, and you get a bonus to yourself or to your friend. You can re-roll, or you can make it more difficult for an opponent.
Oh.
So that's what fate points do. You can.
You have to aspect to use your fate points.
You can spend a fate point on an aspect or a situational thing. So, like, if it's a part of the certain situation you're in, you can also invoke on that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can invoke like an aspect of a place you're in. You can invoke an aspect of an enemy you're fighting. You can invoke your own aspects.
Right. So it has to be an aspect of something.
Yeah.
Right. And I might play a little loose with the aspects on enemies and situations, because I didn't plot them all out really hardcore. I know it's happening, but we may not have a specific little note card for every little thing.
Yeah.
So if you suggest it, we'll just see if it makes sense and probably roll with it.
I think one of our biggest faults in the Grasp the Sky stuff was that none of us had a very firm idea of the whole invoke compel cycle.
Yeah.
And so like I don't think I compelled you guys enough, and that in turn meant that the fate point economy didn't actually flow enough. So
and most of us are going, we could do what now?
yeah, it was
right. Yeah.
Where you're like, I have these fate points, but I'm not sure how or when to use them.
I remember a couple times you're like, would you like to use a fate point to like try that again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I think
roll terrible is a good.
I think I nudged a couple of times, but
it's fun. I love it.
Right. Yeah, and make suggestions to each other. You can suggest compels. I'm all like, let's do this and make it awesome and terrible and all at once. Yes.
Also,
And
if you do something that was very in line with one of your aspects, and either you notice or one of the others notices, we can just say it's like, hey, in retrospect, that's probably worth a compel. So
right, that was a compel. Yeah, totally. Playing in character.
You played to your you played to your character, and it might have complicated things for us. So that should probably be a compel kind of thing.
Made it harder or more complicated, yeah.
Like in my case, my default plan is like murder usually works. Like so I'm just like
yeah, right.
So like that's my trouble because it's just a personality trait, but like, that I'm like it usually works if we just kill somebody. That usually simplifies things significantly. And so like that's like if I get a compel out of that, it could be just as I'm just like, well, obviously we have to kill him and try to do so.
Like, yeah.
Right? Now we have to fight him. Now we have to whatever. Yeah, totally.
See, I have a good one that I just came up with while we're talking, but I'm like, oh, dang, it's not going to work as well tonight. But my overcall concept is sister before the crew. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, she's not here. Dang it. But that was one of the things I'm thinking of.
Yeah, if you guys have aspects in mind, you can message them to me or post them in chat or whatever. And I kind of have my own little quick cheat sheet of everyone's aspects and stuff up here. The other thing that we need to get established for everyone's character is your approaches, because those will come into play whenever we're going to roll. So because the approaches are a little bit different than other things, they're basically your stats, and they're like how you do something instead of like how capable you are. In particular, it's I'm going to take my time with this, or I'm going to I'm going to really think it through, kind of a thing. So I'm just going to read straight from the manual, the description, because I think it does a really good job. So these are the approaches, and these will determine, like, you'll describe what you want to do, and then your approach will just match whatever you're trying to do. So you're not just like... Anyway, we'll read it first, and then we'll go from there. Careful, the first. A careful action is when you pay close attention to detail and take your time to do the job right. For example, lining up on a long-range arrow shot, attentively standing watch, disarming a bank's alarm system. Those would all be careful action. Then there's clever. A clever action requires that you think fast, solve problems, or account for complex variables. So finding the weakness in an enemy swordman's style, finding the weak point in a fortress's wall, or fixing a computer would all be clever. Okay. Then there's flashy. A flashy action draws attention to you. It's full of style and panache. Delivering inspiring speech to your army, embarrassing your opponent in a duel, producing a magical fireworks display, tension-getting, is flashy. Forceful. A forceful action isn't subtle, it's just brute strength. Wrestling a bear, staring down a thug, so it doesn't have to be physically forceful, but you're just using... Intimidation. That's kind of like a... Yeah, intimidation kind of a thing. You're staring down a thug. Or casting a big, powerful magic spell. It's all just force. Raw force of some kind. Then there's quick. A quick action requires that you move quickly and with dexterity. Dodging an arrow. Getting in the first punch. Disarming a bomb as it ticks down 3, 2, 1. Kind of a thing. That one was interesting to me because it's quick, because time is of the essence and you don't have time to cleverly really analyze it out and take your time doing it. It's quick because you have to do it in the next 3 seconds. kind of a thing. And the last one is sneaky. And a sneaky action is done with an emphasis on misdirection, stealth, or deceit. Talking your way out of getting arrested, picking a pocket, or fainting in a sword fight. Okay? So those are the aspects, the approaches. Sorry, I will probably mix that up like a bajillion times tonight because they're really similar in my mouth.
I've been explaining when like Chris or others have asked me that the approaches are kind of what we have instead of skills, and also, as you said, stats. They kind of
makes sense.
Crossover.
Rather than actually making a skill roll of like, oh well, I roll acrobatics to do this. You know, it's more about your approach to the situation. So.
Right. Exactly. And that the approach is constrained by the situation and the action you're trying to take. So, with the example of like doing a backflip, you probably wouldn't do that cleverly.
Yeah.
It would probably be flashy or quick or something. Probably flashy if it's a backflip.
Yeah, probably. That makes sense.
So, for starting, you choose one aspect to be a +3, 2 to be a +2, 2 to be average, and 1 to be a 0. So, based on how you want to do your character or what you think, just take a second or a minute to figure out how you want to put those into your character, and I'll put those on my reference, so we'll have them ready to roll and run with whatever situation we come into. In the manual, if you have that for reference, on page 10, there are some kind of pre-built sets. Like, if you're kind of looking for this thing, this will work for that. The Brute, the All-Star, the Trickster, Guardian, the Thief, the Swashbuckler, they have some stats kind of pre-lined out for those if those seem aligned with what you're going for.
Nice.
Or you can just plop them in. That's whatever.
Perfect. So 2 2s, 2 1s, and a 3 and a 0, right?
Yes. Correctus.
It's been a while since I've had any cause to actually get out my fudge dice.
Yeah, fudge dice!
I know, I just bought some new ones. I'm like, yeah, I got some now.
Yes. There may also be times where I'll have you roll like a d20 to like for randomness and results in certain situations where fudge dice wouldn't really be appropriate. So just that might come up.
Nice.
Yes.
And just like in the Grasp of the Sky days, I have poker chips as my fate points here.
Nice.
So.
I have some failed prints of tomato coins.
Nice.
Yay!
So
That's awesome.
dice are the 2+, 2 blank, 2 minus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying something the other day. I'm like, yes. I mean, they're not failed. They actually turned out really good, but the project that I was working on failed. So I'm like, yeah, they're cool. I'll keep them.
Yeah. If you want to use one of my sets of fudge dice here, you can come get one, or alternatively in... Huh?
How many do I need?
4.
Okay, I might just use like my d6s.
Yeah.
Do like
do that too.
1 and 2 are minus, 3 and 4 are blank, 5 and 6 are plus.
Yeah.
There's also a really cheap a free fudge dice app in the Play Store if you have Android. I don't know if there's one.
I think there is on iOS.
For Apple.
Also in
Roll20.
Do they have fudge dice in Roll20?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure they do. Also, since I have Sidekick, the bot, installed in our main Discord, you can just do this.
Oh.
Ooh, 4DFs.
or like 40F plus 2, and it'll give you your bonus in there.
Oh, cool.
Oh gosh.
Very cool. Okay.
So
That's
that's available if anyone needs it.
Sweet.
We don't end up using Sidekick a whole lot because most of us use physical dice, but I like having it in there, especially for like really large rolls when I have to,
Right.
like poor mouse's fall damage kind of
That's
rolls.
the worst.
Right.
Like,
100
Oh my gosh.
something, 160, I think.
yeah, it was bad.
Mouse applesauce.
Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, let me change that. Yeah, I like that better.
Oh, it is cool. So it doesn't have it that I can see on Roll20 in the dice roller that you can pop out, but it is in the drop down when you hover over the dice.
Oh, gotcha.
That's so
Cool.
cool. Sweet. Like. Cool.
Yeah, I think on Roll20 in the chat there, you can also do the same kind of thing of like /roll and then 40F plus whatever.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Thank you, Oliver, for your approach.
Oh, you're welcome. Hey, Cookie, what'd you say your name was?
Jean-Louis?
What was your name, Chris?
Jean-Louis.
Jean-Louis.
Or Jean Lewis.
Yeah.
Jean Lewis.
Well, howdy, folks. I'm Gene Lewis.
I'm Jean Lewis. My mom was French. My dad was not. Probably the other way around, but you know.
Yeah, normally any rolls I make with Sidekick, I make in the binary channel, but if we're,
Gotcha.
like, if anyone needs to make a roll. You know what? Just, let's see. Yeah, I'm just gonna set a separate text channel in case anyone wants to do Sidekick rolls for anything.
Okay, cool.
In our main one, just that has access, like, because generally anything I do in the binary folder, I'll still probably do like big damage rolls and that kind of thing in binary, just because that way it's kind of locked away from the
It's sneaky.
the secrets can be, can be kept.
The DM secrets. All of us never want to know about.
That you think you do, but you really don't.
Right? He fudged that. Nope. Nope. That's definitely real.
Sorry, now I actually have to get set up.
No problem.
All good.
Trying to like move stuff around so it all fits on this table, because
Lappy toppies.
So much fun.
Oh, awesome. You should like pin that explanation.
Yeah. Oops.
Yay! Why, hello, Mallory.
hello, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, like headband, everything.
Everybody wants to be sneaky. I think the main reason I chose sneak was because of, like dropping down from above. Whee! At the same time, it would be really funny to do the total polar opposite, because I'm so terrified of heights that it's like, instead of being like, okay, I'm going to sneak down, it's like, ha, 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 ha.
Right? You can't sneak down because it's like, I'm too terrified to sneak properly.
That would be really funny.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it will change it, because that'd be really funny. Drop sneaking down too.
And I also would like to point out that I'm wearing like all black leather jewelry stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
On
Yeah, and your earring.
cufflinks, which I decided not to tighten today in hopes that it might preserve my wrists.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the way to
That's
do it.
important.
There you go. I updated mine. Sneaky's now 1. Careful is 3, because I'm carefully climbing down those ropes. Because that makes me, that just makes me laugh. I'm gonna sneak. I don't want to go.
Don't make me do
Please,
it.
just let me stay in my hole.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good.
I like that.
With a guy whose character trait, one of the major ones, is being terrified of heights, I think that makes sense to have a careful.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm like, I run really fast, but I'm super careful as I'm running up. Like it's like I say, it's that gap between the deck and the crow's nest that's just like. Once I'm up, I'm fine. I got something to hold on to. I got my little, I don't know, my nest, So I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Peace good.
Right.
And that gap in between. Don't make me stop for anything. Hey, on your way up, can you turn down the sheet? No. Nope.
Yeah, if you want it to take 15 minutes.
Gonna take a lot longer.
Right?
Holding on, like wrapped around it. Oh, I'm good.
2 hours later. Hey, you got that sail yet?
No. I can't untie the. Oh, I'm holding on to the knot. That's why. Okay. Nope.
Right. It needs a cough drop.
Ooh, nice. That's cool. Why like that?
It has a lot of options in there, like for systems that use exploding dice, where like if you roll a 6 on a d6, you get to roll it again and keep the previous result, and add it in. Like, and you can do that.
That's awesome.
By just adding like an exclamation point to the end, so it's like 3d6.
That's so cool.
I really mean it. Dice code. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't figure out how to change it.
So remind me what our aspects are again, like what they do.
The approaches, or
Yeah.
Do you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm with you. Okay. So, careful is when you pay close attention to detail or take your time to do a job right. Clever is you think fast, solve problems, and account for complex variables.
Okay.
Flashy is to draw attention to you. A lot of style, a lot of panache, as it says. Forceful is brute force. So, force of mind, force of will, force of physical force, like force of, like, one of the examples was a powerful magical spell.
Gotcha.
So, not just physical strength, but that is part of it. Quick is where you move quickly or with a lot of dexterity.
Good.
So dexterity's in there with quick. Sneaky is you do something to misdirect, be stealthy, or to deceive. So those are all there in sneaky.
Okay. I got it.
Sweet. Yes. Okay. I'll put those in and we will. All right. We have approaches. Excellent. Very, very good. All right. So, there are just a couple other things I wanted to go over as far as mechanics were concerned before we dive in. When you say what you're gonna do, you just like describe, I want to do this. It will kind of, you're just doing a thing, and if I decide it requires a roll, you'll roll the fudge dice and add in whatever approach is applicable, and that'll be it. And you can also decide if you're going to modify it. Let me make sure I remember how that works. It's only a little man, you want the one thing. Modify the roll. Yeah. Right, you can modify the roll if you're going to invoke something or compel something. So,
Gotcha.
if you invoke one of your aspects or a situational aspect, one of the aspects involved, you could add a 2, you could reroll, you could help a friend with invoking an aspect, you can add 2 to the difficulty of someone, like an opponent thing. If you roll less than the difficulty, you fail. If you tie, it just ties. If you roll more, you succeed. If you roll with more than 3 of the requirement of the difficulty, you succeed with style.
Oh.
And so that gives you some additional benefits.
Nice.
Yeah. And if you really want to help a friend, you can give up your action on your turn if you're like doing something that requires turns to give your friend a +1.
Okay.
So if you're like in a fight or something and it's kind of down to the wire and it's someone else's turn coming up, you could give up your turn somehow. Help them.
Okay.
Is that all I really wanted to touch base on? I think so.
I have a question, just like a
yes,
hypothetical.
please. Yes.
So like, it has to do with the like giving up your turn. Does that stack?
Mm-hmm.
So like, if Daniel and I are ahead of David in like initiative order, basically, and we both gave up our turn, does he get a +2?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's no reason that wouldn't stack in my mind.
Cool.
Yeah, if you're both gonna get under and push him over the wall, yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
Something I think we should probably clarify, because it's not
Yes,
the
please.
most intuitive thing when it comes to stress in like combat, whether or not necessarily combat, you can get other kinds of stress. But like that is like you have a box marked 1, a box marked 2, and a box marked 3. That doesn't mean you can only take like 3 hits. That means that each one of those is equal to the amount of damage a single attack can hit. So if you get hit, like the way that combat type things work in this is that your opponent makes an attack roll, you make a defense roll, and the difference between them is measured in shifts. So if your opponent gets 3 shifts on it, so they roll a 5, you roll a 2 on your defense. That means that you have a 3-shift, you're taking a 3-shift hit. So you take, in that case, you would mark off the 3 stress box, but your 1 and 2 would still remain empty for you to use.
Okay.
And if there's overflow, like too much after you've run out of stress, that's when you start marking off consequences.
Right.
And
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, the values of the consequences work pretty much the same way, where like if you like, you know, you take a 4 stress hit, like, which is, you know, hopefully not a thing, but if you take a 4 stress hit, you're like, I don't have any stress boxes. However, I could mark off my 2 stress box and my 2 consequence rather than taking a 4 consequence, like a moderate consequence. You could take a mild consequence and a 2 stress box. So you can add your stress boxes together if you need to get there before you go into consequences. Like, also, you know, you could say it's like, well, I took a 4-shift hit, so I'm going to use my 1 and my 3 stress boxes to accept that without getting any consequences.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not
And
the most
that's all-
intuitive system, so.
Okay.
No, and that was one of the sections that I didn't review before we were
Yeah.
getting ready, so I'm glad that you brought that up.
I was wrong about that last part. You can't check more than 1 stress box, but you can check a stress box and a consequence at the same
And a
time.
consequence.
So you
Okay.
can't stack boxes, but you can stack a stress box and a consequence.
Okay. Yeah. And if you if all of your stress is taken, then you don't die.
Yeah, you're
just
taken out of
taken
the scene,
combat.
whether that means you like run away or you get knocked unconscious or whatever.
Wow.
Right. But you don't die.
Yeah.
So,
Not the tissue
that's
box.
Ah, that's
Yay.
time to blow
Yeah.
your nose.
That's probably where things might get the most gray in my jamming tonight, but that's okay.
Sweet.
Feel free to chime in with how things actually work at any time.
Yeah. Consequences are basically just like longer lasting stress boxes. Your stress boxes are cleared out and emptied at the end of a scene. Like every scene, your clear boxes, like your stress boxes are cleared. A mild consequence, your 2 consequence, will clear at the end of a scene provided you had a chance to rest. So like you just need a few minutes to like catch your breath and chill out, and like that'll go away just like your stress boxes will. A moderate consequence will last until the end of this session and through the next session, and before you clear it out. And a severe consequence doesn't like last to the end of a scenario or adventure, so like at least a few sessions before you can clear it away.
Nice.
And all of them, like any consequence counts as an aspect. So if an enemy wants to invoke one of your consequences as an aspect to get an advantage over you, they can.
Right, you got stabbed in the arm and they're going to squeeze it before they attack you.
That kind of thing.
Nice.
So, like, you know, say a sprained ankle or something, you know, they'd be able to take advantage of it in some way.
Right? Yeah. Awesome. Do we feel completely unprepared to go crazy pirate?
I'm ready for this! Let's do this!
I will be right back, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let's wait.
Time for party breaker. Drink.
Hurry up and wait!
Whatever. Yeah.
I'm so ready for this. I'm so excited.
So I'm having trouble figuring out like what kind of a stunt to have.
Okay. So yeah, a stunt, they're normally set up in the format of, because I do something that you're exceptionally good at, or you have a cool item, or just because I'm awesome in this way, then this. You just kind of describe some way that you're awesome. Once per game. Yeah. So an example, David came up with one that because he has symbiosis with the glow, once per session he can channel the glow within him to downgrade one consequence for either himself or a patient in his dream. So that's cool. So because I'm awesome, this. Another way you can format a stunt is I get a +2 when one of the approaches, and when I like cleverly do something specific. So if I get a +2 when I flashily, you know, flick my sword in a fight or something, you know. So
Yeah,
approach and specific action.
The two kinds of stunts, like the one that I have is one of the once per session kinds, but the other kind is like it's not limited to once per session, it's just very specific.
Right.
So it's like, you know, the examples they give in the book are like, because I have the aspect smooth talker, I get a +2 when I sneakily create advantages, because creating an advantage is one of the types of action. When I'm in conversation with someone, or because I'm a lover of puzzles, I get a +2 when I cleverly overcome obstacles when I'm presented with a puzzle, riddle, or similar conundrum. So it, like, basically gives you an advantage that you'll always have, but the circumstances that trigger that advantage are very specific. And so you can't just give yourself a +2 to one of your approaches forever for everything. Like, it just doesn't, it's like that.
Right. So I was going to go over the 4 types of actions, but it seems like you'll be taking a lot of actions that don't necessarily fall into that. But that's why I didn't bring it up, because it's just a little weird in my brain. I think
any action you can take generally would fall into one of the categories, and this is one of the things I don't think I communicated very well to you guys during Grasp the Sky either. Like, we went over the actions right at the beginning and then immediately forgot like everything about them.
Right.
But
yeah,
like, if you don't mind me going over them real quick, I
would love it, because you have a lot more experience teaching things of this nature, and I feel a little bumbly. So, and you're familiar, so you just
I just don't want to take the reins when someone else is the GM. So I always have to resist the urge to like backseat DM when
right. Well, explaining the system, you just take that right away, man.
Yeah.
Types of action.
Yeah, so the create an advantage action is just literally anything you do to try to help yourself or one of your friends. So you take a moment to aim your gun, you spend several hours doing research, you trip the thug trying to rob you, those all count as creating an advantage. And the target of your action may get a chance to defend against this, but if you succeed on it, you can do one of a few things. You can create a new situation aspect, You can discover an existing situation aspect or another character's aspect that you didn't know about already, or you can take advantage of an existing aspect. So, like, you can create a new aspect where you say, it's like, I'm going to create an advantage by, like, you know, sneakily tipping over this lantern and therefore lighting a fire, which means in this area there is now a situation aspect that, like, you know, this part of the ship is currently on fire, kind of thing. If you succeed on that, you've then created a situation aspect, and because you created that aspect, you get one free invoke of it, so you don't have to spend a fate point to invoke that situation aspect, because you created it. That actually also happens if someone, gives you a consequence. They get a free invoke on your consequence because they created that aspect for you. And so if you're creating a new aspect or discovering an existing one, if you fail, you just don't create or discover it, or you create or discover it, but one of your opponents gets the free invoke rather than you. So you can be like, it's like, you didn't fail to push over the lantern. It's like, you know, you can push over a lantern. There's still a fire here. That aspect still exists. You still created it. But you don't get the free advantage from it that you would have otherwise. That kind of thing. Just whatever makes sense for the moment. Generally, if, you know, if you create something that other people couldn't really take advantage of, then, you know, you just fail to do it. But if it's something other people could take advantage of, then it probably can still happen. You just don't get the free invoke on it, and you have to spend a fate point to still invoke it if you want to. If you tie with your goal, if you're creating a new aspect, you get a boost, which is basically just a temporary aspect. Instead of it sticking around, you name the aspect, you get your free invoke on it, and then it goes away. It doesn't stick around the way that's, like, you know, maybe the fire from that lantern that you knocked over doesn't really take hold. It goes out pretty quickly. Like, there's a minor explosion and it doesn't stick. If you're trying to discover an existing aspect, then a tie is still a success. You just learn that. Like, it's not a middle ground for that. And if you succeed, you either create or discover the aspect. You or an ally can invoke once for free. You can pass the free invoke on to one of the others if you don't want to be the one to do it. And we just keep track of that aspect for as long as it would make sense for it to exist. If you succeed with style, you get 2 free invokes. So, like, you and an ally could both invoke it once for free, or you could invoke it twice. Even on the same roll, you can invoke it twice, which is normally not allowed. Success with style allows you to do that. If you're trying to take advantage of an aspect you already know about, if you fail, you just don't get any additional benefit from the aspect. You can still invoke it in the future at the cost of a fate point if you want to. If you tie or succeed, you get a free invocation on it for you or an ally to use later. So you've learned about this aspect, and you can just bank that invocation until you need it. And if you succeed with style, you get 2 free invokes, which you can let an ally use. So that's the create an advantage action. It covers most things. Like, most things you're probably going to try to do are ultimately going to be the create an advantage action. Or attack action, but we'll get to that in a minute. Overcome is the second action type. Whenever you have to get past something that's between you and a particular goal, like if you need to pick a lock, that's an overcome action. Escape from handcuffs, leap across a chasm, fly a spaceship through an asteroid field. Any of that sort of thing, that counts as an obstacle. It counts as an overcome action that you have to, like, defeat. Taking some action to eliminate or change an inconvenient situation aspect, usually an overcome action. If you fail at an overcome action, you still have it, like, you can simply fail. The door's still locked, like, you know, the thug is still between you and the exit, the enemy spaceship is still on your tail, which is an aspect. Or you can succeed at a serious cost. Like, you know, it's like maybe you drop something important that you were carrying, maybe you suffer some kind of harm. Shara will help us figure out what an appropriate cost is if you fail at an overcome action. Because that's kind of, as, like, if you can't think of something yourself, then a GM can help you make the call.
Climb inside the engine and hold it together while it's flying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
If you tie, you attain your goal at minor cost, so the GM could introduce a complication or present you with a tough choice. You can rescue one of your friends, but not the other, or, you know, some other twist. Succeeding at a cost is kind of a common theme. I still try to use that in D&D as well, to some degree, because sometimes it doesn't make sense for you to fail at something very simple. It just is like, you know, it doesn't mean it has to work the way you wanted it to. Yeah. It's like, you know, you still do the thing. And if you succeed, you just accomplish what you were trying to do. The lock springs open, you duck around the thug blocking the door, you manage to lose the spaceship on your tail. And if you succeed with style, you succeed, but you also gain a boost. So you get like a single invocation aspect that you can use for something. Like, you know, say if you are, if you're trying to duck around the thug, like, you know, it's like you like hit him in the back of the neck on your way past and get a free invoke on him or something like that.
Nice.
The attack action is just what it sounds like when you're trying to hurt somebody, physically or mentally. Swinging a sword, yelling a blistering insult, like that, you know, those are, it's your, like, it's your physical attacks, but it's also your vicious mockery. Yeah. And if you fail, your attack just doesn't connect. They don't have to use the defend action to stop you. Like, if somebody really doesn't want to try to defend, you can just get a free hit. And, like, that would be... I believe shifts in that case are counted on... or if someone's not expecting and can't defend, I believe that they also wouldn't... Like, you know, if you sneak up on someone and then attack them, I don't know. But I think anything over 0 is considered a shift in that case. I'm not actually sure on that, but I think that's how it goes. But if you fail, your attack just doesn't connect, you miss, the target parries your sword, they laugh off your insult, whatever it may be. If you tie, it doesn't connect strongly enough to cause any harm, but you still gain a boost. So that one-time invocation aspect thing. Once again, if you succeed, your attack hits and you do damage. If you succeed with style, you do your damage, and you have the option to reduce the damage your hit causes by 1 and instead gain a boost from it. So you can do slightly less damage but get a free invoke on something. And the defend action, if you're actively trying to stop someone not just from attacking but from doing any of the other 3 actions. So not just parrying a sword strike, you can also defend to, like, you know, block a doorway, or like where people are trying to walk. Like, defend is against any other kind of action, usually performed on someone else's turn. You're not usually going to actually, you know, like, use the defend action on your own turn. Unless something like, you know, you try to block a doorway so no one can go through it, you go stand in that doorway, then maybe you would, but...
Makes sense.
It's usually the equivalent of a reaction in 5th edition, though. And you can also roll to oppose some non-attack actions or to defend against an attack on someone else, if you can explain why you can. Like, if you dive in and try to interpose so that they, like, you know, they would hit you instead of the target that they're actually going for, you can do that. Usually, as long as everybody pretty much agrees that it's reasonable, it's fine. You can also point to a relevant situation aspect to justify it if you really need to, but if you choose to interpose like that, you become the target, so you'll, like, if they still deal damage, you'll just take the damage instead of the target that they were going for. If you fail, you are on the receiving end of whatever their success gives them. If you tie or succeed, things don't work out too badly for you. You look at the description of your opponent's action to see what happens. It kind of is context relative. And if you succeed with style, they don't get what they want, and you get a boost. An ally can help you perform your action, which is that, like, +1 that Shara was talking about, where rather it's not that you're giving up your turn, it's that you're taking the help action functionally.
Cool.
And usually only 1 or 2 people can help this way before they start to get in each other's way. So, like, 2 people could start to stack, but at the GM's discretion, if too many people start to help, it might actually not be of any more use.
Right, it has to make sense.
Sure.
Yeah, like, if a whole bunch of people are all crowding around trying to help you do one thing, they're just like, there are too many hands.
Right, you're
this is not
disarming
helping.
the bomb, and you're like, stop it, get out of my way!
Yeah, like, Like a couple of people could probably work on that, but once it starts to get out of hand.
Yeah.
And so any of those actions, you're always going to choose your approach. You're going to roll the dice. You're going to add your approach bonus, and then after that, you can invoke an aspect. You can, if you really feel like you need to succeed something, you can say you invoke an aspect and spend a fate point beforehand. But you're almost never going to do that. It's almost always going to be after you've made your roll, when you're like, oh, that's not good enough, like, or like I really want this to be incredible, or you're like even if I already rolled super high, I'm like, well, I want to succeed with style, so I'm gonna.
I can do it with style. So this.
Yeah. Nice.
So, basically, the action types. Oh, I froze up for a second, so I don't know if you guys heard anything from me there.
No, good.
Yeah, basically, the action types should cover anything you're going to be able to do. It's not necessarily super important for you to know what kind of action something is, but it's important for the GM to at least be able to categorize it, so that Shara can say it's like, okay, that sounds like it is create an advantage action, so that she can determine how things go if you succeed versus if you fail, or like.
Cool.
It just kind of helps us have the structure of like knowing what that actually does for you,
and what the outcomes mean when you roll. And,
yeah. There's on page 15 in the book. There's the 30-second version of the actions and outcomes thing that pretty much tells you in a very short, like in a small space, exactly what everything does. And in case people don't want to go looking in the book for it, I'm just going to throw it down in Strange Seas right now.
Cool.
I should do that, but I haven't.
Ah, yes.
So just for quick reference. Anyway, I've sidetracked. I'd like to explain that long enough.
That's good.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Excelente.
I was going to get some meds for my headache while I was in the bathroom, and I didn't do that.
Oh, go do it, because I'm finishing up a little bit here, and then I think we're about ready to dive in.
Okay, I will be right back.
Yo.
I've got like 40 sea shanties that I'm like, click. Can I just say, I love the ship rocking in the background. I'm just like, oh. If I didn't get seasick, it'd be awesome. Not that I've been on a boat for longer than like 2 minutes.
If you get seasick, eat something that sticks to your ribs. It should help.
Yeah.
That's why I made this little book, so I can have all of them and scurry quickly through. And PDF up here, it's like, hopefully I should be able to navigate this one further. And with our excellent resident master GM for everything. We should be okay and have a good time.
Do we have
Yes.
like a paper?
I was excited about the story. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Do we have a what?
Do I have like a paper that I can keep track of my stuff on? But I'm actually...
Yes. So there's a PDF that you can, that's a form that you can fill out, or you could also print it. Either way. It's up in, I should pin it. How do I
I'm doing
pin
it. It's already done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pin.
So if you click at the pinned messages at the top, they're up there now. So
Oh,
the,
perfect.
the one page at a glance sheet. slow my speaking down, and then the actual rule.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a different one than I've been using.
Mhm.
So I had sent Sadie the one I've been using as well, but
I
like this one has a little more
is there
reference
either
on it.
digital version that I can just have up on my computer?
Either of them, yeah, they're both PDFs.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, they're both forms that you can fill out either way.
Yeah,
Whatever is most helpful for you in your character creation.
yeah, this one has a little more help for like the actions and just a little bit of reference on it,
Okay,
which is nice.
I'll open up this one first and see. But,
Cool.
I mean,
Yeah, the one Shara linked is the one that has more reference, so it like where we are not as used to this system, it's probably the one that helps more. But if you want something at just a glance that doesn't have as much other stuff on it, the one I used is probably a little cleaner, but either one works well.
Whoa.
I printed off all the little cards, the little help me cards, and I'm like spread across my desk, like taking notes on everything.
Right. Yes. Okay, so let us begin the Strange Seas one shot. An hour intro for a new thing. That's not too bad. Okay. All right. So, crew the Bonebreakers, sailing on the Poseidon's Point. You are in the dark. Each of you. Everything's black. And then everything kind of wet. And you're actually coming to, and you're in the water.
Yeah, what?
You are in the water. You're just coming into consciousness. And around you is what can only be the wreckage of Poseidon's Point.
Hello!
Jeez. What a way to start.
And we're done.
Worked on all that. Worked on that flag and it's floating in the water. I'm gonna go swim and get the flag.
Okay. You do that.
This flag.
Ollie notices the flag and his loyalty to the crew. He goes and snatches it up. The last thing that you all remember is that you were just squaring off side to side with the Void Pillager, the ship of your cursed enemies, the Chaos Bandits, captained by the very cursed Captain Carter Wheatley.
Do I remember if I managed to kill him?
No. So here's the last thing you remember is both ships were squared off. Everyone was yelling and screaming. Everyone was at their posts. We had powder monkeys. All of the cannons were ready to fire. It was going to be it was going to be a decision maker. But it never really got to that point. You don't remember a battle. You don't remember being able to board the Void Pillager. It was just the standoff. And now you're in the wreckage of Poseidon's Point. So, Ollie collected
Don't
your...
worry, guys, I got the flag.
the standard. There are not many survivors. And there's blood in the water. And you know that you need to do something because the blood in the water means sharks are on their way. So I'd say that you can probably, without much difficulty, notice who is around. So what do you do?
Hello. I missed my crow's nest.
Roll.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
That's not good.
Come
I think we
back.
lost audio.
Oh no! You like hearing us too?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Leaving Discord.
Nose.
I need like dramatic pirate music. Hang on.
Right?
This is too happy for this instance.
And your sister's dead.
No!
No. You don't see Granny.
Where'd she go?
Okay, now I can.
Hey.
For some reason, it like Discord changed my output device.
What the heck?
So
Silliness. Did you get most of what we were describing as the opening scene?
yeah, I got most of
Ah, found you.
Okay.
Okay. I know where it's stuff. I think I'm gonna use this other sheet. No, wait, don't close though. I still need you.
So Ollie, after you collect the flag, what's your next move? What are you doing?
Next move is to find out where Granny is. I mean, we gotta make sure I gotta make sure she's alive. I mean, sister before the crew. I don't care who else is there. I gotta find Granny.
Right?
Granny!
Okay. So you're swimming through the wreckage. There's just all of the leavings of a ship. As you're swimming through, yelling for Granny, you do notice a skiff that's been overturned and is slightly burning. That's there.
Uh-oh.
You still don't find Granny.
Granny! Well, what do I do?
I want to go around and check for like injuries or survivors, or maybe see if I can find who's bleeding. Get them out of the water so that they aren't bleeding into it anymore.
Okay. Most of the blood you notice is just from you're checking bodies of crew members that you've gotten close to. Most of them are not responsive. And there's not much of everything is in splinters. There's maybe a few parts of the mast that are big enough to like hold on to. There's the one skiff that's upside down, but other than that, you hear Ollie shouting for Granny, so you've got him ticked in your mind.
Jean-Louis is going to try and get the skiff over, like so that we can start getting onto it.
Yeah, I'll help with that one.
Okay. All right. Let me
put the mask on yourself.
The first roll.
Or you help the other person.
What?
Oh, I just said you put the mask on yourself first, and then help the other person next.
Right. Yes. Right. Okay. Okay. All right. Roll your dice. This will be
Fate dice, right?
Yep. Fate dice. This will be a forceful roll.
Uh-oh.
+2.
Okay.
Oh. So how many dice do we roll? All 4? Okay.
You roll 4 of them and add in your forceful approach.
Okay, remember fate. That would be a -1. I had 1 plus, 2 minus, and my forceful is a 0.
Okay, you're both working on it, but you don't manage to tip it over. It's heavy, and you might need a few more hands on in the water.
While I'm yelling at everybody, I'm like, "Come on, guys, we gotta hurry! We're gonna get this thing flipped over." I'm gonna try and splash water up because you said it was partially burning, right? So I'm gonna try and put out whatever fire's there.
Okay, go ahead and roll a quick.
Oh, quick's not bad. Oh, good. 2 minus, 2 plus, so a total of 2 because I have 2 quick.
Okay, you frantically splash out the fire, and it's extinguished.
Yes.
Yes.
Keep calling out, Granny!
Yep. Just whenever you get the chance, just try again on the boat.
Yeah.
Who else is alive?
Is there a boat nearby?
Yeah, there's a little skiff.
Intact.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It was on fire, but I put it out.
I'm trying to decide if I'm brave enough to try an accent.
I'm doing
I won't make fun of.
Yeah. I'm doing a Haitian accent, so you can't do much worse than that.
I was gonna do an accent until I found out I was in the water. I'm like, hey, everything's gone.
So I'm gonna swim over to this skiff.
Okay.
And you'll have to tell me if I can do this. I kind of want to invoke my symbiosis with the glow aspect, because this is a little bit of like my limited magic that I can do here. And I want to try to use it to basically like push the glow out into the water that is in the underside and pull it out, so, like, and make a little funnel of air so that it makes it easier for us to actually turn this over, like cut out the suction.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah. Add to your roll. So if you're doing that, and do you, as Ollie and Jean-Louis?
Oh yeah. I'm rolling the boat.
Oh, together.
Oh, get this thing over.
Like, would I treat like that feels like a clever action, but then it's still forceful to try to move the thing. So it's.
Yeah, I think you're still forcefully using the
cleverness,
the symbiosis with the glow.
Yeah.
It is a clever solution, but you kind of have to use you got to give some and you're still helping physically, right?
So cool. With my fate point, that's 0.
Ah! Oh, no!
I got 2 again.
No, wait,
Bring
it's
it home,
1.
Ollie.
It's 1.
Okay, so we got 2 and 1. Ollie?
Oh, sorry. I didn't roll. I thought it was just him. I was taking the help action. Oh, crap. That's for forceful, -1. You dice, you suck. Okay.
Man, it's still pretty heavy. You guys you're not entirely sure what happened, but it's really taking it out of you, so don't quite manage to get it over yet. In the distance, you see little specks on the water that might be fins.
Ah, crap!
What?
Fins.
What?
Shark fins.
Oh, okay.
Fins in the distance.
I see fins! It's not good!
I guess what I was trying to do there was actually create an advantage for them to be able to move. Like, so I don't know about
Okay.
like now that I think about it, because I was trying, like, that would be a clever action to create an advantage for them. In which case, it
Okay.
would be 3.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Yes, a 3.
Let's walk through that so it helps me understand and everyone else kind of gets where that's coming from. So the create advantage, I agree. I think that doing that would definitely be creating a situational advantage. So you'd be creating the aspect of the glow removing suction.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I succeed on that, then like any of us would get a free invoke on it to
invoke it.
To then make it a little easier to flip the boat. So like it, not probably a huge deal, but that actually is like rather than me doing that and then trying to actually. Now that I think about it, I could probably. I wouldn't need to invoke that aspect to actually use it.
To do that, to create the advantage, yeah. Yeah, to create the advantage you wouldn't. Unless it was like a really hard thing to do with the glow.
Yeah.
Like if you were on land trying to do it or like inches away from the water.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
you would create the aspect, and because it is so in line with your aspect, you do that.
Okay. Yeah.
That happened. That aspect is created. So now we have a free invoke on that.
Yeah. So those of you trying to actually tip the boat back over would be able to just get a free +2 to your forceful roll because it's not as hard because I've cut some of the suction out of there. So.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So each of us or just one?
Just a 1.
Yeah, just 1.
Yeah. So.
Like, more people could invoke it, they just have to spend fate points to do so, but there's a free invocation on it.
Right. Is Mallory by the skiff helping, or is she off doing other things?
I feel like Mallory's a little ways away, like she kind of drifted off, especially when she was like looking around, looking for survivors or where the blood was coming from or whatever. She kind of wandered away from the skiff.
Nice.
She hasn't.
Nah, she hasn't
collected up yet.
So can I with I'm trying to think how to do this. I'm gonna pull from El Dorado, where he ties the rope on one side of the boat, goes underneath the boat, and then like stands on the boat like pulling.
Oh,
while everybody else is lifting, I'm like using my weight to shift the boat over as well as having the glow.
So you don't have rope on your person, so I'm gonna have roll a careful to look for some rope
great at
in
careful.
the wreckage. Okay.
Which I needed apparently. Jeez, these dice are cursed. So that gives me a 2 for my roll.
All right. Nearby, you find some rope. It's a little tattered, but you think it'll serve your purposes.
It'll get me by. Like tie it off on like the hook where the oars slide through. Tie it off on there. Just try and get underneath it as well as I can. Stand up. I'm like, oh!
Okay. And yeah.
So, do I roll because he's doing the thing? He's doing this. Do I roll or?
Are you gonna pull it with him? Are you gonna pull on the rope with him?
I was helping him lift, but.
Yeah, if you're up there,
he's doing whatever.
Holding the rope and.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll help him with that.
Yeah. Okay, so roll a D, and forceful. You have the free invoke with the glow, so that's a +2 to this effort.
Okay, my forceful is 0, so
I rolled a +1 again. I'm getting a lot of average.
I got a +1 this time as well. Yay!
So +1, and the invoke from the glow removing the suction.
Sure, I'll take that.
Just get it up over and it rights itself.
Ah!
Splash back into the water. A victorious crash back into the water. And it's probably good timing because those fins are getting closer.
Everybody in the boat!
Can I kind of see based on like the glowing that's coming from can I see where they are?
Yeah, I think that you would have you heard Ollie shouting for Granny, so you knew where he was. And I think that you noticed that they were kind of working on things that they were you had some crew being active over here and that they were by this.
I'm gonna go
over here.
I'm gonna head that way.
Okay.
So if I'm in the boat and I see Mallory coming, I'm gonna throw the rope. Try and help bring her in.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll scramble aboard as quickly as I possibly can.
Try and counterbalance a little bit.
So here.
Yeah. So, Daniel, I think you're creating an advantage. I roll to create that advantage.
Oh yeah, +3!
Oh yeah.
I don't know what else I'm rolling, but yeah, +3.
You get the rope right out there, and it's right in front of Mallory.
Oh!
Now, Mallory, I need you to roll a quick.
Freezing all of a sudden.
Great. I roll before my die?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's
Just
been a long time
checking
since
that
we've
I'm
faded.
not doing it wrong.
Right?
Yeah, you got
Oh,
it.
okay.
fun.
Yeah.
So that's 4.
Total of 4?
4?
Nice.
Awesome.
That's a heck of a
Oh wait,
You
I have a minus.
with
So
style.
You have a -2?
3.
Oh, I was gonna say.
I have 1 minus. So I have 2 plus the 2 from quick, and the minus
1 minus.
3. Right?
And you got a free invoke from the advantage created by the rope being thrown to you.
Oh, okay.
So,
Hold tight!
yeah,
So 3 plus whatever that is.
yeah, you succeed with style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's surfing off
I was
sharks.
actually just trying to come up with an aspect to help me like move through the water faster. Like
No, you solid got that. You
Yeah.
are
Guys.
well.
Mallory
okay.
just jumped
I'm
the
just
shark.
trying to remember.
I'm shark surfing.
Yeah.
They pull you in so fast that you kind of skip a little bit and like launch and land into the boat.
So I'd assume,
And-
like, getting into the boat would be considered an overcome action. Succeeding with style would then give you a boost, like what a temporary aspect that you get a free invoke on. I'm not sure what would be appropriate for getting into the boat real fast, but
You're totally dry. I'm just kidding.
Or maybe no, yeah. I mean, yeah.
yeah. As soon as the boat was turned back over, by the way, I would have drawn the glow back into me and climbed in. So I'm not just leaving it there. Like,
Okay. Yeah. Right.
I assume that I have enough of the glow in me that it'd regenerate over time anyway, but I kind of just, like,
Yeah.
let's not do that.
He's a good steward of the
Don't
globe.
leave it out there.
Yeah.
It's a special thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I was trying to
you have a
like
temporarily.
heritage of the Cicalia or something like that. I don't actually know how to pronounce it, but because
Cicada, that's a cockroach, right? Just kidding.
no, the like half human, half octopus creature.
Sure. Yeah.
Ursula?
Ursula.
Oh, I like that.
More or less.
Awesome.
Is that what we're gonna call that aspect? Heritage of the.
The temporary one or the one I was just thinking of?
The one you're thinking of.
Yeah, heritage of the.
Heritage of the
I
Cicada.
don't know how to pronounce it. If I figure it out, I will let you know.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Type that into our the chat that we've been doing so I can copy it in because I won't be able to figure it out either. Do you think that's your high concept, or just one of your aspects?
No, I'm kind of thinking for my high concept of doing, like, it's a pirate's life, which is my, like, navigating and my piratey skills.
It's a cool... I like the navigation focus, but the it's a pirate's life doesn't seem to point to navigation. I just need something to connect it to that, if that's what it's trying to be.
I found a thing pronouncing it Cecilia.
Cecilia.
So.
Cool.
Oh, that's not the chat. I need to put it in. Hold on.
Right.
Maybe something like always finding my way at home on the sea. Like grew up.
I was just thinking too of like
I don't know.
Path of the Wayfinder. Because wayfinders go from island to island. And yeah, so maybe that'll be my high concept is Path of the Wayfinder.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. 2 aspects in the bag. Nice. Cool. And we're all in the skiff.
Where's Granny? Anybody seen Granny?
Something that, as Ollie asks this, Mallory, you were checking the bodies. You didn't see Granny among the bodies either.
No, I was looking all over, and you know, I saw Marcus and Apollo, but I didn't see Granny anywhere.
Yep. You also didn't find Captain Remington.
Oh, so were there like other members of the other crew as well?
No. You did not see any of those blighters of the Chaos Bandits.
Dirty bandits.
Bloody pirates!
Dirty pirates!
Yes. There's also one other crew member missing that, I mean...
This is not in the wreckage?
That you didn't notice? Yes. A somewhat newer than all of you, but I mean, pirate crews are always in flux. But Tompkins Golden Tooth Amaranth was not present in the body.
Golden Tooth Scout? Knew that guy was too good to be true.
Dang it!
Okay. All right. All right. So you're in the skiff, and you kind of see some, a little bit of water movement out on the edges where the sharks have gotten to, and there you can kind of tell that there's some activity going on out there, that being in the water at this point would really not be safe. And as you're kind of taking all this in, you notice that the skiff is not only wet on the other side, but it seems to be more wet than it was when you flipped it.
Ah, crap, it's leaking. Dang it!
Perhaps the fire did more damage before we flipped it than we thought.
His that usually works aspect.
What's
I don't know, like, because you were saying like, oh, maybe I did more damage than I thought.
Oh no! Like that's specifically about that. Like my solution to most problems, if it is at all applicable, is to just kill whoever's causing the problem. So like that's
can't kill a leak.
Don't kill the
boat. Like, in this case, like I would certainly love to kill like the people responsible for all of this, but I don't have access to them at the moment, nor would it solve this particular problem.
It's specifically about killing people, then I assume.
Yeah, it's that like I mean, like violence
Murder.
alone, it just like isn't like it. Yeah, it's specifically murder.
Make them dead.
Yeah.
That's how we solve it.
Okay,
so
is there any scrap in the boat or anything like that I could try to figure out some way to make a makeshift patch?
I don't think there would be any material in the boat, but you might be able to look in the surrounding area.
Okay, I dive back in.
No! I have the flag!
Water.
I have the flag!
Oh, he does! He has the flag!
Yeah. It's fabric though, like it's going to
slow it down a little bit.
Well, you can use that to slow it down while I'm looking for like scraps of wood or something that we can hopefully get a little more.
Yeah, probably better idea.
Jean Louis is just gonna try and start like bailing water with his hands.
Okay, good. Let me. This might be. Yeah. Okay. So I think that we're gonna try this as a challenge.
Oh dear.
Which is a series of overcome and create advantage actions. Okay. So we've got bailing the water and stuffing it with the cloth and trying to find a more stable solution.
Ready.
Or
So,
I'm not sure if
I'm gonna have to ask you first of all if this is even a thing I can do, but my idea is to have some of the glow come out around my mouth and act as gills, convert oxygen from the water so that I can breathe underwater.
Lucky.
Okay. So I think I would have you roll for that.
Yeah.
Because that seems like a bit of a stretch for the glow, and I
would imagine it'd be something I'd need to roll for because it's not something I could just do, like especially under the stress of having already jumped into the water. So,
right?
Like,
yeah.
But.
So go ahead and roll for your glow gills.
All right. Would we call that clever? That's.
It is an interesting solution. Yeah, you've just been really impulsive, and you're like, oh, the glow could help me.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. All this clever.
All right. Let's see. That's good. So that is a 6.
Wow.
Oh man. Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right, you style. Nicely done. So I'm gonna say that's an overcome, so you get a boost.
Okay.
Which might be like glow gills.
Yeah. Alright, so now that I've done that, I'm going to start looking for any pieces of scrap that I would be able to, and we'll have to figure out how we actually affix anything I do find once we'll cross that bridge when we get there, because we're
right.
like very limited.
That bridge when we get to it.
Yeah. Like if we have some rope, we could probably try to lash it to the outside of the boat where the
Like a rope.
like where the leak is coming from. It probably wouldn't 100% stop it, but if we lash it tightly enough, it would help. And in combination with the flag, maybe we could at least make it so that we don't have to be bailing out every 5 minutes. Like.
I like this plan.
So.
There you go.
So any scrap I can find, I'll be looking for, and.
Yeah. Okay. Look for your scrap.
Probably quickly. I don't like. There's sharks here. I don't really want to stay in here very long. But I'll invoke that free boost for this because I want to, like, I can dive underwater, I can look for things that are stuck under other things. That way I can hopefully make this happen.
Get it quickly.
Let's see, that ends up being a 3. No, wait, plus the free invoke, a 5.
5. Okay, you also succeed with style.
Awesome.
Okay. So, you just dove in, you figured out how to make these gills on the fly, and you're able to look under and in the nooks and crannies. You find a candle and find some, or what do you think that would be useful?
I
thought a candle. But...
Yeah, a candle is like, actually, like, pieces of the candle, like, where wax can be deformed, I could force it into holes, and we could seal it up that way.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
So, yeah, that probably I'd grab some other scrap, like wood scrap and whatever else I can find, just in case we need anything else while I'm in them.
And there's plenty of wood and bits of around, so you get some bits of wood, kind of kindling size pieces of wood, and some ragged cloth and this candle, and you head back. Give me another quick roll, please. They're in the water.
That's a 0.
Oh no!
It just comes down to nothing. So, at least it's not negative. Hey. At least it's not negative.
There's that.
Okay, so
maybe not able to move quite as quickly now that I am carrying things. I have to swim one-handed. And...
Right? Yeah. So, because you jumped back in and you're swimming around, agitating the water, one of the sharks has taken notice of you.
Oh dear.
And he's gonna try and...
How far out is
Rami?
Riku?
Lika.
How far out is Riku?
Just underwater to no one in particular. I'm correct.
Like, you can sense it anywhere.
Sense that someone somewhere has gotten my name incorrect.
Just instead of horses whinnying, it's just this correction from anywhere.
So good.
Okay, so this is actually a...
It's what now?
This shark is trying to attack you.
Okay.
He was able to catch up with you because you didn't quite get out there quickly.
Yeah. So let's see.
It was close. So I would say you're pretty close to the boat, but not ready to get in.
Yeah.
You're close, and everyone else could probably see it coming.
Yeah.
And it's gonna.
Did that count as an initiative check then, that 0? Like, or would I roll again? Because it's quick for a physical conflict, right? For determining turn order, if something, like the essentially initiative.
Sure, yeah. Let's roll for the initiative in that order.
If he's close to the boat, can I just attack the shark as well?
He's not that close.
Oh, he's not that close, okay.
Not yet.
Yeah.
That'd be a +2 then for initiative.
Okay. You are first in initiative order.
Okay. I'm going to just swim as quickly as I can back towards the boat towards that rope if he's still got it hanging there for me to climb up.
Okay. Roll that quickly.
Okay, that's +1.
Okay. So it's a tie. So you swim, you grab the rope, and you're starting to be pulled aboard, and the shark's gonna make a lunge.
Okay.
Before you get in.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Attack. Come.
So, what should I roll for defending here? Since I am obviously conscious of the sharks, I'm going to be.
Yeah. I would. How do you think you would defend yourself against a lunging shark? I guess would determine that.
Yeah,
What would you do?
I'm just mostly trying to get my limbs up out of the water and out of reach to make it harder for them to actually be targeted.
Okay.
So, like.
Okay, so I would say that would be a quickly.
Okay. Alright, so my defense roll is a 4, so whatever the attack is.
When I was in sailor school, we were told to punch sharks in the nose.
Yeah, like, I don't particularly want to fight a shark right now.
Shark Week, man, that's what
Yeah.
Nice. So, what was your roll? A 2, is that right?
What was that, sorry?
Did you get a 2 or a 1?
I got a 4 for defend.
A 4. Okay. You flick out of the way. He rams into the side of the ship, gives the little bite, and then falls back into the water.
Okay.
Quit putting holes in my ship!
Okay, so you're back in the ship.
Yeah, I'm gonna immediately start breaking that candle into pieces, or like if I still have at least a small knife on me somewhere, I'll cut it instead, and like force those pieces into any holes I can find so that it'll block up the leaks.
Okay, all right. So I would imagine you would be using careful to do that. Try and be thorough.
Yeah.
Okay, so roll me a careful.
Okay, that is another +4.
Nice, you succeed. Okay, so you get all the wax in, and as Jean-Louis is pitching out the water, it doesn't seem to be filling.
Awesome.
It wasn't a super fast leak, but you seem to have taken care of it.
Awesome.
You sigh, give a sigh of relief, and not only that, but a bit to your surprise, you notice that the sharks are actually leaving. There is still blood in the water, and they didn't finish off the crew, but they're leaving. And as you notice that, you also
I wipe my mouth.
notice.
Sorry. Still working on that sea legs.
You notice an unnatural fog rolling towards you across the waves.
Do we see any oars or any like debris that we can use as oars to
paddle ourselves away? Yeah, see something.
Yeah. Would you be looking frantically, or are you kind of like looking more carefully? Do you think?
How close is the fog?
It's rolling in, and you
kind of a medium careful.
Are
or medium frantic?
I'd probably be doing it pretty quickly if.
Okay, all right. So roll a quickly.
Okay.
See if you
Let's
can
see.
find.
That is a 2 + 2, 4.
Nice, you succeed.
I've just decided, apropos of nothing, that I am the only person who doesn't refer to Granny by that name. Instead, I call her grandmother, because like it's not like it's not proper enough to say Granny. So
it's Granny, dang it!
But you still call her grandmother.
I call her Gami. I call her Gami.
Oh,
Hey, Gami.
Granny!
oh, that's
Say it
so
with a
beautiful.
accent!
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Okay, so yeah, Jean-Louis finds kind of wedged underneath some nearby debris an intact ore. And I'm going to message you. You all kind of have an awareness of what this fog heralds, but you know it by different names, and I'm going to message you the names that you're familiar with them by.
So I'm probably going to do the same thing on the other side of the boat. Oh, crap.
Sure.
I should make
What I'm
notes.
messaging you are what you are aware the rolling in day fog is heralding.
Okay.
I should make notes so I don't forget. I found the candle, but the other objects I found were what?
Kind of kindling sized bits of wood and some raggedy small pieces of cloth.
I'm just gonna use a English accent because I feel like it's better. But
Do it. Feel free to change it. That's totally kosher here in the Strange Seas.
I think it's time to go now. We need to leave, like, right now.
Okay. So, did you roll for your quickly?
Yeah,
Ollie?
it was 4.
Yeah, so he got 4.
Oh, you got a 4?
No, Jean-Louis got 4 for his ore. I looked on the other side of the boat. I canceled everything out, so for my quick, I have 2.
All right. You're frantically just kind of splashing things away, looking for an ore. But there doesn't seem to be one found on that.
Pick up like a chunk of wood. Dang it! Anybody got another ore?
Okay.
Can I help look? I didn't realize this was.
Sure. As you guys are frantically looking for ores, go ahead and roll. You hear the sounds of a ship, and you see it kind of coming in. It's about mid-distant, like not far distant. It's coming in. You can see it through the fog. What'd you roll?
I rolled a 5.
Yeah, you find an ore.
Nice.
Ollie didn't quite catch it. He got a little bit too frantic.
Granny! Where's Granny?
So you guys have 2 ores, and there's bad stuff coming in.
That's the reason they called me Lost Soul. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's go.
Get away from the bad juju.
All right. So how are you trying to get away? Paddle.
Frantically.
Okay.
Oh, can I use my Path of the Wayfinder to find like the fastest course out? Like if I can find a current?
Yeah, well, so there wouldn't be any current here, but you do have an eye for how to navigate through all of the debris.
Okay.
So that isn't going to impede your way.
Okay.
Who has the oars right now? I would.
Is it Ollie and Jean-Louis?
Did you pass your oar to Ollie?
Yeah, I would have given it to Ollie because he.
Oh dear.
All right. So, Ollie and Jean-Louis, describe how you're paddling. Are you like, ah! Or are you like,
I'm paddling with my life.
Yeah, I think I'd yell like 1, 2, 3, and like try and just like
get the deep
have it-
paddle.
I hear him like 1, 2, 3. I'm like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
It's a little lopsided.
Yeah, I'm just trying to match him so that we can like go straight.
Okay, so you're queuing off of Ollie a little bit. So you're probably paddling a little on the quick side, okay? So, all right. I need a quick roll from Ollie and Jean-Louis. Please. Oh, and because
Oh gosh.
I think that Mallory created an advantage. You guys get a free invoke on having a path identified.
Nice.
Okay,
And as you're paddling, you're starting to hear yelling, gravelly, kind of nasty voices in the.
Ghost Light,
So-
we respect you. Okay, so total of 3 for me.
Yep, 3 also.
Yeah, you guys succeed with style.
Oh yeah! High five you.
Oh yes. And so, you guys are cruising like real. You guys are a well-oiled machine on this skiff. Regardless, the fog is overtaking you.
Ah! I don't want to die.
And you see the ship coming full into view, and it's going fast. It is going hecka fast, and it is on what is on the verge of a collision course with your skiff. What do you do?
Turn!
Yeah. So, yeah, we just try and break right.
I'm
Okay.
gonna jump into the water and try and use my heritage of the Cecilia.
Society, I think, was how we.
So just like my extra like speed in the water to try and like push the boat to go off.
Nice.
Cool.
That it would,
Propeller.
yeah. Since there aren't
Cool.
sharks nearby.
So are you gonna try and are you gonna invoke that, or is that just what you're doing? You're gonna start kicking from outside the boat.
Yeah, I'll invoke it.
You
How
can
do I-
roll first and then decide if you're going to invoke.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
How do I do
yeah.
that? What's the roll for it?
that's a good point. Because it's happening so quickly, I need a quick roll
Okay.
from the 3 of you.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Ruh-roh.
That is a -5. So
I'm at
I
0.
Oh,
want to use my
1.
heritage of the Celia.
okay.
Bring it
Do
up
you
to 1.
want? Do you want to add it, or do you just want to re-roll? You can do that too.
I'll
Just
reroll.
options.
I'll
Okay. Okay.
Shoot, that's even worse.
Dang it!
We're gonna die.
It went
Okay.
from -1 to
Grounding
-2.
one shot.
All I can think of is that. I watched El Dorado too recently. All I can think of is El Dorado references.
Okay.
Oh,
So
shit.
Yep.
yes. Perfect. So you guys fail, but you were trying. So I'm gonna say you succeed at serious cost. Okay.
Oh dear.
So, as this decrepit, dark, slimy briny, just nasty-looking ship comes into view. There's wakes coming off of it, and it's coming right up against you, and it doesn't hit you broadside.
Yay!
But it does impact a bit.
No!
And your skiff gets entangled on the ship.
Oh no!
So now you are being dragged ragged. There's some dangling netting in the area that you impacted. And you're like ragdolls in the skiff right now. And you're being dragged along with this.
See if we can grab Mallory out of the water.
I'm gonna start trying to like uncomfortably flop my way over as we are being dragged around and start cutting netting.
Yeah, I wanted to try and like swim to see if I can find a spot from the water where I am to try and start cutting into the net. I'm not quite sure where I am in relation to the netting and stuff.
Okay. Something that would be important and you'd be aware of is that you are deep at sea. So with no rations, it is highly unlikely that you would be able to make it in this little skiff. So.
Okay.
So.
I'm actually gonna try and like climb up the rope.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing too.
Get a good vantage of the ghost ship's deck.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say like using my skills as like climbing the riggings up to the crow's nest. I would do the same thing on the side of the ship with the netting, just as fast as I could.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess as you guys are climbing up, I would just say it's like, might I suggest avoiding being noticed?
As you're going, might I suggest?
Yeah.
Just like on a wakeboard, just like.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Ollie is climbing quickly up. He's scurrying up. He's pretty familiar.
I want to be sneaky. Can I be sneaky?
Yes, you can go sneaky climbing. Yes, I would say.
I was gonna go for careful, but yeah.
Do you want to take your time at it?
No.
Make sure you get your shirt dripping? No, you're just scurrying.
I was gonna go carefully, but it's that mentality of I'm on ropes. There's nothing below me. There's nothing above me. I gotta get to somewhere safe. So quick is gonna fit much better there.
Dig it. Okay.
If you have an aspect for your fear of heights, that feels like it could be a compel for it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Make it harder.
Why do I do this to myself? I'm terrified of heights.
Are you gonna do that?
What? Compel myself? Make it harder? Yeah. I guess.
You haven't used
By
any
the way,
fate.
you can have more than your refresh. It's not a cap on how many you can have. It's a cap on how many you begin a session with. In the book on page 25, it says if you have more than your refresh, you start the next session with the fate points you ended the session with.
Oh,
so you can't save them
there
over.
You
can have more than your refresh, though. It's not a cap.
Okay.
So
that makes more sense. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So how do you track your fate points? I'm trying to understand the difference between like the refresh and the current. How do you get
the refresh is how it resets at each session.
Yeah.
And
our
the fate
refresh
points
is
is just
3.
a number.
Yeah, our refresh is 3, so you start every session with 3 fate points. You can get more by being compelled, or in this case, by like more or less requesting or negotiating a compel.
Yeah.
And when you spend, like, whenever you invoke an aspect, if it's not a free invocation from like an advantage action or whatever, then you spend a fate point to invoke it.
Okay, so I spent 1.
Yeah, you spent 1 to re-roll by invoking your high concept, was it?
Yeah.
No,
just an
Or
aspect.
was it?
Just an
Okay,
aspect.
just
Yeah. So what happens when you spend a fate point?
You can bonus yourself or hinder an enemy.
you can get a +2 to a roll if you can make an argument for why your aspect would help you with that and spend a fate point. You can re-roll entirely if you can make an argument, or you can like give a disadvantage to an enemy in some way.
Okay.
And it seemed to say that you could also help someone else by adding 2 to someone else by invoke.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I assume that's probably possible.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
It's just in my notes. I could be off.
You can add a +2 to your total, which costs a fate point. You can re-roll the dice entirely, which you're probably not going to want to do unless it was like -3 or -4 or something. It should probably be real bad before you do that. You can confront an opponent with the aspect. So, like, if your opponent is trying something and you think an existing aspect would make it harder for them, the alien thug wants to draw his blaster pistol, but he's buried in debris, so you can spend a fate point to invoke that aspect, and their difficulty level is increased by +2.
Okay.
Or you can help an ally, which, like, whenever an existing aspect would make it easier for them, you spend a fate point, they get a +2 on their roll.
Okay.
You can invoke multiple aspects on the same roll. You have to spend more fate points to do it, but you can invoke multiple aspects. You just can't invoke the same aspect multiple times.
Okay. Cool. Good. Very good. Okay.
So as Mallory is stealthily climbing, there's me.
And are you going to compel it? Because you're going to have to roll for this rope climb.
Yeah, I'm going to compel it. I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense at the moment, so...
If it's a compel, then you get a free fate point, but if you don't take the compel, you have to spend a fate point to not take it, so...
Yeah, I'd rather have the fate point to get myself out of whatever's going to come next to...
Thanks. I wasn't trying to trap you. I had forgotten about the consequence of not taking up a compel.
Yeah. No, you're totally fine.
Okay.
And in this case, it was kind of you negotiating for the compel because it makes sense for your character to... So...
Yeah.
So for quick, I've got a total of 2.
And the one other thing that you can do with a fate point is establish a fact.
Yes.
Like, you don't have to... Like, just by virtue of having certain aspects, you've established some things about the universe already. But you can also, I believe, spend a fate point to establish a fact that, like, you know... Unless that's... I don't know, here it says you don't have to spend any fate points, you can just establish a fact as long as you do so in cooperation with other players. But,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's just something that we will do as we play the Strange Seas. I don't think you need to spend a fate point. If you really want something that if I'm a little remiss to do, you might offer that in the negotiations.
Maybe that's more of a fate core thing that I'm...
Maybe.
But I'm trying to remember how that works.
It's on page 29 for establishing facts.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. But,
Okay, so what was your total?
So all my dice canceled out. I have a +2 and quick.
Okay.
So technically 2, unless it's yeah, like a disadvantage or whatever.
So you just fail. Just fail. Okay.
Oh no.
So you slip and fall back into the boat.
Oh, at least I'll land in the boat. I can handle that.
Okay.
So is he talking about, did I fail? Or did I okay?
What did,
I got
you were...
1, I think, at the end of everything.
You got a 1?
Yeah.
So you tie, and so you're not really getting much opportunity to get progress. You're still hanging on to the rope, but you haven't made a lot of progress up the side yet.
Okay.
I got 4.
4
for my sneak.
Sneaky. Okay. Jean-Louis has managed to, ride the bumpiness because the boat's jerking this. This is the tow line now. And he's managed to get up on the edge and up farther where it's more stable. And he's in a pretty good place to be hidden. Are you trying to look up above the deck or just stay hidden?
Yeah, I'm trying. I kind of want to look at what the situation is.
Okay. All right. So Jean-Louis gets the first peek over the very lip of the deck. And what you see is, even for a pirate ship, pretty chaotic. There are what did I say? Jean-Louis knows these as brine blighted. These are sailors who have made a terrible bargain with the sea, and they are a form of unliving. And this is their crew, this is their ship. This is what this is. So they are running helter-skelter. No one's up in the riggings. Well, no, I take that back. There are pirates everywhere, very actively trying to... They look like they're trying to catch the wind as best they can. They're shouting at each other. They're, bumping into each other. Some of them are not... Some of them are on the deck. Some of them are up there. There's one in particular that seems to be in charge. He's barking orders. And something strange you notice is that in the midst of all this chaos, these brine blighted are they're walking carefully around this deck that is fairly full of buckets. And you can't tell what's in them, but the deck of the ship is like all on the sides and off in the middle. There's like almost aisles. There's pathways through these buckets. And that on the far side of the ship, there's a pile of buckets stacked in a pile. Okay? So that's what you see as you peek over the edge.
For reference, since the story, declaring a story detail thing, like spending a fate point on it is a fate core rule. But they say, like, if you want to retroactively say, of course I brought the supplies that we need along, obviously, like, then that's the kind of thing that calls for a fate point.
That makes sense.
Like, or, if you happen to show up in somebody else's scene at a dramatically appropriate moment, like, that would possibly also be something that would cost a fate point. Or, like, you end up out in the wilds with, like, and are being confronted by this chieftain who's addressing you in a strange tongue. Someone's like, hey, I have the aspect, if I haven't been there, I've read about it. Can I spend a fate point and declare that I've studied this language at some point so we can communicate that, like... So, most story details we can probably just be, like, declare them as a group and come to a conclusion on whether something exists or whatever, but for something like that, you might want to ask for a fate point to...
Right, the story conveniences.
Yeah.
Coincidence? Fate point.
So are there...
Okay.
Are there, like, people by us? Like, where we'd be coming up, or is that kind of clear?
They run by. I mean, in the helter-skelter. No one's, like, just hanging out by where you are. No one's paying attention to this area specifically. They're very focused on what they're doing.
Okay, is there any place... okay, really quick, is there any place that looks like we could kind of, like, hide?
From here, you're kind of in the middle for of the ship. Not right on the tip, but kind of off to the side, front end. So I would say that you are, so if there's like that raised part in the front and then the main deck, that you are, I guess you're more towards the middle because you're not right at like the steps that go up to that higher portion, but you're a little bit farther from that, but it's nearby.
Okay. I'll wait for someone else to come up and kind of like relay the information, be like, hey, that might be our best place to hide.
Cool.
I don't want to really like draw attention, but I want to try and be flashy to try and get up this rope.
Ooh.
And
so how are you trying to be flashy?
So I'm gonna kind of like grab it like, I don't know, like gym rope. You know, when you're in gym and you have to climb the rope. Okay. I'm gonna swing my feet around to the outside and try and scale it like rock climbing style, rather than trying to go through like ladder. If that makes sense.
It makes sense, and I like the concept, but I wonder if like showing off to your crew that you're already like pretty close to, and you've just gone through this. I mean, this is only increasing your bond. I don't know, and kind of the intensity of this situation, I don't know if like showing off would be your priority right now.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that flashy might not be as appropriate.
Okay.
Using the flashy approach is generally like specifically trying to call attention to yourself. And so it's
that's
like where if you would specifically trying to be calling attention to us, you use flashy, sure, but like it's
right.
Yeah, okay.
Gotcha.
Right.
But like flashy often is kind of treated as like charisma to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's
like,
you know,
pay attention to me, listen to me,
yeah,
see me.
Delivering an inspiring speech, embarrassing your opponent in a duel, producing a magical fireworks display, or like, you know, trying to create a distraction. Like that'd probably often be something flashy would qualify for, but
Jean-Louis is at the lip of the deck. Ollie's fallen back into the ship. Mallory's kind of midway up still, where it's kind of a little rough. Is the doctor still in the ship?
I'm still in the skiff. I'd probably first of all just be checking to make sure that Ollie didn't hurt himself falling back down. Like,
yeah.
Before anything else.
I'm good.
Oh man. So I don't know if that would really do anything. That wouldn't really do anything. I was thinking of offering you a compel like he fell on top of you.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that would really affect anything else. You'd just get over it and
Yeah.
I don't think that's super important right now, whether it was a rough tumble or you're just down in there now.
See, and I was wondering where I like was stuck. If he had gotten further up than me, if he would have fallen on me and knocked me out too.
No, I don't think he got very high. You're about midway. I think he was just a little too fast and scaly frantic because terrified effects. So
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
The ropes had too much algae.
He might have gotten close to you, but I don't think he got above you. Ollie's okay. I mean, he's used to this kind of thing.
I'm good. I fall all the time.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Before I do anything, I'm just once I finish checking to make sure he's good, I'm just going to say, "Whatever else is up there, we can hope that perhaps they found grandmother. Just like try to kind of motivate him to get up there and maybe have something else to focus on other than just like what he's scared of.
Thanks, Ricky. Appreciate it.
So, do you want to create an advantage with that? With like that would be a flashy, like trying to inspire him with talk about Granny. Maybe.
Sure, I'm terrible at flashy, because, like, which also fits for Rika because he's
yeah,
like he's not much for emotion, so
yeah.
0. I rolled all blanks and I have a 0 in flashy, so.
Okay, so it doesn't create the advantage, but it might maybe clear Ollie's head. We'll see how he rolls.
Yeah. So after hearing about Granny might be on the ship, I'm gonna take the pirate flag and rip it around like a cape and tie it on. And then I'm gonna carefully climb up the top.
Let's try this one more time.
One more time. I was holding too hard to the flag. I wasn't paying enough attention to where I was going.
Okay.
Take it a little slower this time.
I would allow you to try and create an advantage by pulling that cloak on. Like that's a little flashy, and it might help inspire you.
Ooh, okay. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But roll for your flashy.
Flashy is so good to me. At least it's not a 0. Yay! 2.
Okay. You just tied, so still good. Not as massively inspiring, but you're good to make your careful.
Yay! Oh, it's not as great. Well, actually, careful is +3, so total of 3.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you are much more sure-handed, footed.
Definitely not terrified.
Focus a little bit more. You know, it's still a little crazy, and you are above floating air, but you know those kind of balance out, and you're able to focus enough to get up to where Jean-Louis is.
Sweet.
I don't know if you're gonna peek up or if you're gonna stay down below him. It's more stable here. You can kind of hammock into the rope a little bit if you just take a little breather.
That's probably what I'll end up doing, because if I see him looking over the top, it'd be more like, okay, what are we looking at? What are we doing? I'm gonna hold up here until I get like, let's go type of mode. So,
cool.
I'm just gonna carefully climb.
Okay. Make it careful.
2.
Yeah. You are also able to keep a level head and find the least slimy spots in this rope and make it up to the top.
Like rules like this, I'm always just like, yeah, like it happen. Like
that does nothing. And do you look over, or do you just kind of hunker down with, or?
Once I get to the top, I'm probably just going to try to hunker down, try not to avoid notice right now. Kind of take stock of the situation before I try to...
Yeah.
When I get the chance, I kind of want to, like, tell whoever's closest to me and then have, like, telephone down, like, what I saw and, like, where we can try and get to the hide.
Yeah. Yeah, so after Doc and Ollie get up, you're able to give them kind of the lay of the land. Mallory hasn't quite made it up again, but I think you should re-roll again.
Okay.
Just try again.
Can I just roll for sneaky again?
Yeah, you can keep doing it sneakily.
Okay.
Though I think that careful would be more appropriate because you're not actively like.
Oh, I'm not.
From where you guys are on the ship, there are very few places that you could be. Like you haven't seen any of the crew from where you are.
Okay.
So
can I argue for quick? because I'm getting annoyed that everyone has beaten me to the top now. I just want to get up there and be done.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We could go quick. It's like
Can I keep this roll, or do you want me to re-roll?
Keep your roll.
Okay, that's a 2.
Okay, you are able to just like, I'm done with it. I mean, you've gotten familiar and fed up with this little knot in the rope, and you just bust past it and you get back up to everyone else. And Jean-Louis is able to bring you abreast with what he has observed from the deck.
And then after I tell someone, I am going to try and sneak over to the hiding place.
Okay, all right.
If the coast looks clear. Like, if I look around and I see, like...
Okay, yeah. You're going to wait for a...
What's the opportune moment?
The opportune... as it were, yes. Yes.
So that was it.
Yes.
I'm going to take the rope that I originally had and wrap it around my waist like a belt, tie it off.
Okay.
Just so I can keep tabs of it and not have to carry it.
Yeah. Give me a roll for that. You roll, Jean-Louis.
Okay.
To watch for the opportune moment and go for under the stairs. Yes.
Which den am I using?
Sneaky.
Oh, 5.
Nice.
Oh yes, you succeed with style. They're not watching for anyone. They don't anticipate anyone being there. They're really focused on what they're doing. It was like, if you stank bad, it would be a problem. But you succeed with style, and you are now well hidden, and you can get a boost, a one-time invoke on that aspect. You're kind of behind some barrels, and you're in the shadows just right.
Nice.
You get a one-time invoke, so a bonus, relative to... Right? Am I doing this right? That now he's well hidden, and that's the aspect that he can invoke for free.
Yeah.
Once?
You get like a temporary aspect that you can invoke for free, and then it goes away. A boost.
Right.
Just anytime.
Yeah. It needs to be
kind of while it's still
to,
there.
Yeah, like it needs to be relative to this situation.
Yeah. If you get up and leave, you're not going to have the well hidden aspect.
Yeah.
Okay, so how would I use?
You don't have to use it right now. That's a good question, but it's there.
Like, if for some reason you wanted to, reach out and trip one of the pirates that's going by, or if one of us is looking for the opening, you can use your vantage point to watch and kind of signal us when it's safest to cross, and you can pass that boost on to us. That sort of thing.
Okay, cool. I get it. Cool.
Yeah.
I will do that when that happens. Kind of be ready.
Yeah.
Cool. So did you guys decide that your plan was to go hide under the stairs?
That makes
or is this
sense.
just Jean-Louis being a little...
Yeah, probably the best plan. I'm partially distracted also because I'm kind of looking around to see if there's any sign of grandmother. Just because not that Rika's going to show it, but I'm as worried about her as anybody else, because there's that, the aspect is loyalty is family, family is everything. I'm loyal to my crew. I may not express that, but
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
So I'm kind of distracted looking around to see if there's any sign of her being here, if they found her and pulled her up and have her captive or anything like that.
Cool. Okay. So you survey the deck, and you're looking around all these buckets. How high are you getting your eyes up above? Are you getting to where you could look in the buckets, or have you still been below?
I'm probably willing to get high enough to look.
Up a little bit. Okay.
I'm more concerned about that than staying hidden. We're already in a bad situation, so I'm
Right. Yeah, you want to get a good vantage. Okay. So you are looking up, and you see that it just appears to be water in these buckets full of water all over the deck. Yeah, I'm gonna say that behind the pile of buckets, you notice no, you don't. She's not there. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That would be bad for her if they caught her.
Yeah.
So, no, you don't see anything of grandmother.
Okay.
Sorry. I was back and forth about that, but she's not there.
Yeah, if I'm not catching sight of her, I'm probably just going to follow Jean-Louis then. So.
I have a quick idea. Is there is there a bucket kind of like close to me that like I could like tip
Oh,
over?
yeah. There
So
are, yes.
Yeah. So that like not like right in front of us, but like so like people who are walking like it could trip and like cause a commotion and a distraction, so the others could see me too.
Yeah.
That's something you could
Yeah.
probably use that boost on too if you want to.
Cool. I'll do that. Just trying to cause a distraction because they're all running around so quickly. And if they can like slip on water and.
You do notice that the ship has this slimy kind of decaying nature. It's an aspect of this ship. It's called the decay of misadvantage, and that living beings, to those who are still living, it seems sliming and degrading and can be slippery just by itself at times, but that these as who knew them as seagulls?
I did.
Yeah. So the seagulls are always sure-footed on this slimy surface as if it is a pristinely kept ship. So they're very sure-footed on this slimy, decaying nature of the ship. But, so you just observe that it's kind of slimy. If you want to make it wet, you can totally do that.
Should I roll sneaky or?
Are you trying to get attention with it? Like a distraction?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna roll a flashy.
And do I add anything because I'm using that invoking or?
It'd be a +2 from the boost. So.
And is that something that he can add afterward if he needs it?
Yeah, you can decide whether you want to use the boost after you've already rolled.
Yeah,
I might as well. So +2 and then +2 and +0, so that's 4.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely succeed. You kind of, you not just kind of tip it over, you kind of give it a little throw on as the ship's kind of cresting one of the waves. So it seems like it might have been natural. And it spills pretty generously over this particular section next to the steps. And so you get some good coverage, but your distraction works a little too well. And two ghouls who had been walking around, their heads snap to the bucket, and they're like, "God, I was a perfectly good bucket! What'd you do?" And they kind of like hit each other like it's your fault, and they kind of start quarreling a little bit, like getting on each other. And Captain says, "I'm back to work with you! We gotta..." Oh, what did I say? "Get down below! You gotta lighten the load! Go!" Sorry, I should not be yelling.
Oh, that's great.
So, the captain gets after them, and they go down below. So you cleared out the ones that are nearby for a time.
Okay. And then,
I'll try and sneak over now.
And I would say if it would actually be useful for any purpose, you'd probably created an aspect where you made the spill. Just like not
Yes.
like that.
Yeah. There is a spill. Let me note that. Yes.
Whether that actually comes up, who knows? But
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it is there. There's a section of spilled water. Everyone who is going to take this opportunity to sneak behind the stairs, please give me a sneaky roll.
Sure.
1.
Okay.
I should have done what I thought I was going to do instead of that.
it's a 2 for me.
Okay.
-2.
Oh no! Okay, so
I have this mental
Mallory
image of me like, I'm just too scared to move, and see everyone move, it's like, oh, okay, and then like...
Okay.
You're so preoccupied with your nerves that you just stand up and walk.
Yeah, basically. It's like...
Okay, so Mallory and the good doctor make it ahead to behind these barrels that Jean-Louis is behind, and Ollie gets up and
Trip over the buckets.
he kind of, well, kind of both. You kind of trip on some buckets, knocking over 2 or 3 of them, and because you were slipping on kind of this sludgy surface.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And
at least it's not a crit fail. At least it's not all minuses. That's
It was by 1. I survived that. 3 minuses.
is that the crit fail in Fate?
yeah, all minuses are considered a crit fail, basically. I don't know if Fate Accelerated even really calls attention to it or not. But...
yeah, I didn't read anything about it, but it'd be funny.
yeah.
Not that funny.
Okay. So the nearby the doctor knows them as Fourdoom. The nearby Fourdoom, there's not any of the crew Fourdoomed around, but the tumble of buckets and the light splash of the water gets the captain's attention immediately. Oi! And he spots you. And he's he gets this look of like frustrated confusion, and like he doesn't actually have time to pay much attention to you, and he looks over to 2 that are kind of over the way and says, "Oi! Get rid of this waste!" Okay.
Oh dear.
So you have 2 seagulls coming for you, and they were a bit up in the rigging, so they're coming down and they're getting over the buckets without disturbing them. And they're
buckets. Dang it. Because I really don't want to run to where everybody else is, because I know that's going to get them caught as well as me. But at the same time, I'm looking and noticing how carefully they're trying to, like, work around the buckets. Dang it.
Well, time to kick the bucket.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I want to, like, knock over buckets and take off the other direction. Like, I don't know. Oh, I got it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna like kick 2 buckets and then jump back over the railing and try and like hold onto the rigging and like cover myself up so it looks like I just jumped off.
Okay. So like in the rigging to like the vertical rigging, or the rigging that you were just climbing on over the edge?
The one that I was just climbing on over the edge.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I figure if I go up, they're gonna catch me. If I go down, then I can like hide myself, so it looks like I fell off the edge.
Okay. So
Ollie
as you
must hate
kick,
everything about that.
I do. I really do. It's the worst ever. Yeah. It's a scary ghost ship, but I'm just like hanging on. And they see me, and I think I don't know what to do.
Like, no, the waste can dispose of itself, thanks.
Haste! Kicking as many buckets as I can hit.
That can compel his fear of heights again because now he's hanging off the side of the ship.
It could be
not presently.
if it actually like creates any interesting problems. Like,
compel. I thought you said dispel his fear of heights. I'm like, no, that's not gonna.
That's not how that works.
you can't really compel it because that would you could compel it to stop him from doing that, where like his fear just freezes him
and that would
up.
put him in a worse situation.
And then it's like he either has to spend a fate point to do it or accept the compel and just be like, nah, I'm not going back there. But like as far as a compel for doing it, it'd have to actually be something once he's there that would potentially create problems. Like he gets there, he realizes what he's done is just like back on the ship, and he has to take the compel to climb back into view or something like that, or pay a fate point to stay hanging there. But
which if you want to do, I'm not going to be pretty hard on the compels unless I really want you to. If you want to do that, Daniel, you could, but I'm not going to punish you if you don't.
Now I have the
biggest thing we need.
Yeah.
Sorry. The biggest thing we need to keep in mind for the compels is that it's an important part of the fate point economy. We should be either given compels or suggesting compels pretty frequently if we want to keep the flow of
you
stuff.
want a lot of fate points.
That's one of the problems that I think we had in Grasp of the Sky was that the economy did not really tick along very much, and so it's.
Because I think you're used to that when you're role-playing in other games. You don't want a disadvantage. That is, the worst.
Yeah.
But this is, it's not the worst. It's it just makes the story more interesting. You get a bonus later.
Yeah. Playing to your flaws and playing to, your character getting into trouble, it makes for interesting storytelling. And so...
Yeah. So, with that in mind, it would just be like me in the crow's nest yelling, land, huh? I would get to the edge and go, huh? Nope.
Yeah. Are people coming towards him?
Yeah, I've got two guys coming toward me.
Okay, so they let me play out what's happened with this first half of Ollie's action. Okay, so he been spotted. He panics a little bit, and he first thing that comes to mind, they seem to care about these buckets. So he kicks a couple of them, and that elicits a reaction. They're like, "Oh, God!" And they're kind of up about that. And then Ollie doesn't jump. They are coming. They kind of their reaction was such that it stopped them for a step or two. So they're not right on you, but they're about halfway across deck towards you.
Okay.
They're going around the grate, the hole in the deck.
Okay. Yeah.
They're going around that.
Yeah, because my first thought of jumping over was hey, I'm in the netting. It's safe. It's comfortable. I can hold up here. But yeah, as soon as it gets to the edge, it's nope. Not wanting to draw attention to anything else.
Can I not invoke another hiding thing again? Aspect.
If you invoked that for, it was just a boost. It wasn't an aspect. So if you invoked it,
did you use it?
Yeah. He knocked the over, I think.
Yeah, when he was
that's right.
The distraction.
That's right. So yes, that aspect of being well hidden is gone because the the ghoul captain is aware that something's happening over here. Buckets are falling. He's still focused on directing the rest of his crew, but you're not completely under the radar anymore.
And since it was a boost, it was a temporary aspect anyway,
Yes.
so it was just a...
That's the story reason why it's no longer there.
Yeah.
But there's an aspect of the water, right? Being on the thing.
Yes, there is. There
Are
is
they,
a.
are they walking around it or
No, they don't care.
through it? Okay.
They're just going straight through it. They're going straight towards Ollie.
Okay.
Or just mad that I knocked it over.
I have risk taker as one of my aspects, so I know it's not slippery for them when they're on the water. When they're just on the normal ship, so I want to my voice to kind of drive.
I'm all coffee, no worries.
When one of them is on the actual water, I'm going to assume that it's not slippery, and I'm going to just try and run and shove one of them overboard.
Awesome.
Because I'm just assuming that that's when it's going to be slippery for them.
Okay. All right. So let's see. That's going to be a forceful roll, and
since you created that aspect, you also get a free invoke on it. You don't have to spend a fate point to get an advantage.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
You created that
you
aspect.
created the puddle. Yeah.
So that's +2.
The boost was a bonus, as part of that, but that aspect that you created, you get a free invoke on.
So what does that mean?
So that means you get the +2?
Yeah, you can get a +2 to your roll.
Ooh, okay.
Without spending a fate point. Okay. And roll your forceful.
Okay, so I rolled a 1, and then I have +1 in force, I think. And +2, so 4.
4. Okay, so you are watching them, you have your plan in your head, and as they're still in the water and they come next to the stairs, kind of come out and around from your barrels, come up behind one, and just like full shove him. And it's a little slippery, but you make it. And even as he's being shoved from behind and trying to keep his balance, he's still trying to dodge the buckets. And he goes head over heels. And you hear a splash. So he is totally overboard.
There we go. Out of reflex, man overboard, and then just keep.
Where are you headed, Ollie?
I think I'm gonna go up the stairs to the next level because I said I was pretty close. Because I don't want to draw attention to where everybody's hiding. Oh, that's where he's at.
But he's kind of like on the other side of it.
Yeah,
like there's
I think
two
I'd still
stairs,
run up there.
and he's up by the next one.
Okay. Yeah, I'd run up there and see if I could find like a barrel or nets or something to hide behind. Or
there isn't a barrel, but there is kind of the stand of the wheel.
Okay.
Okay. You could probably try to roll a sneaky.
Yeah, let's go sneaky. Yeah.
Keep behind that. Wait, don't tell me yet. Let me decide the difficulty of this.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Tell me your roll.
It's a total of 2.
Okay. So you tied.
I figured it was gonna be that good. I was like, ha, ha.
It was
hide behind the mast. Behind the what is it called? The helm.
Yes, the helm.
Wouldn't there be somebody standing in front of the helm steering the boat? Run up and hide. Oh dear.
Oh no. I think you're right. There's one of these seagulls is manning it, and you slide in, and he just catches like your foot going back there, so he knows someone's there.
Okay.
But he's also focused on the helm.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was able to identify the seagulls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I know anything like about seagulls? ghouls, like
Sure.
what they do?
Yeah, I bet you would actually. You know that these are ghoul pirates, and that in order the benefit they got from the Brine Blight, the deal that they made with the sea, is that they don't need any more physical nourishment. They can stay at sea indefinitely, and it won't harm them. This ship is specific to them, and they're sure-footed there all the time. But they, within themselves, can only feel negative emotion. There is no more happiness, no more joy, no more excitement, no more. All of the positive feelings of mortality are gone. They only get the negative side now. And except when they kill or inflict negativity on others. And that steals away some of that positive emotion that they would have felt if they weren't there. So they are driven to plunder, to murder, to steal. And that is where they loved pirate life and plundering. They were kind of on the dark end of the spectrum to begin with, but now they are in the black.
We're like talking like David Jones Locker.
Yeah.
Kind of crew. And...
kind of a thing.
Okay.
Just not fishy.
Okay.
Party ship,
see, that's what I've kind of been picturing this whole time is like.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. It's very much like that
like,
shit. They're not one with the sea kind of a thing, but they have that kind of grimy, slimy, a little bit of decay. They're not skeletons.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have regular form, but they don't have living colorization. They maybe lose hair, they just look a little decrepit. Even though they may be physically robust still.
I think I was picturing like the crew, like when you first see Will's dad, like he still looks human, but he's got like barnacles on his face, and he's like, I don't know how to describe it other than like oceanified zombie.
Right.
Kind
and that's totally what he looked like, but these guys are just missing the oceanification. They're not becoming one with the sea.
Gotcha.
They've more it's just this they're unliving.
Okay. So I need to picture more zombie and less zombie.
Yeah, not full zombie though. They're not like missing arms and legs or
right.
They're fully conscious.
Yeah.
They're still intelligent.
So what so if I'm remembering your backstory correctly, David, did you say that this enemy ship of ours, I forgot what they're called already, but
you could just call them seagulls.
No, the other
guys, the Chaos Bandits.
Oh, the Chaos Bandits. Yes.
Was that your ship prior?
It was, yeah.
Okay. And so
yeah, Carter Wheatley took my ship. He was part of my crew, and he was part of my crew, and he mutinied. So.
Okay, so I assume that do you still have a pretty strong connection to the crew? Not so much to Wheatley, but to the crew there.
If any of them are left, probably not. Yeah. No, because they went with him. So they are just as much I want them to die just as much as him.
So they're all just traitorous, and you don't really care.
Anyone who turned on me or didn't at least express that they weren't happy with the situation, I would have just been well, screw you too then.
Anyone that you knew was there would have the black mark of Dr. Ulrike Würli.
Okay. Is that something as a character that Mal would be aware of?
Probably. It's not like I haven't exactly been secretive about my feelings about
No, and you guys would have, I mean, the discussion of the Chaos Bandits would have come up. It would have been talked about a lot. They're your arch rivals. They're, yeah, I think you would have gathered the backstory behind that and where some of that venom's coming from.
Yeah, like, not every one of them probably was super on board with the mutiny, but I kind of imagine that anyone who didn't want to continue serving under Carter Wheatley probably left the ship the next time they went to shore and joined another crew. So anyone who's left there at this point, none of them would have had any loyalty to me whatsoever. So I'm just
Okay. I'm trying to decide if I can use my knowledge of like the sea ghouls' like desire to kill and plunder and do all of these things to get them to help us find the bandits and take them out. Be like, look, we've got this other ship that you can go and plunder and kill all the people you want. We just want to find this one girl.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Is that something I can maybe try and negotiate with the captain?
You can try anything you want.
You can certainly try.
Before you do that,
I'm just going to say also, meanwhile, default plan murder. I saw Ollie go to the helm. Does the helmsman have a weapon on him?
He's a pirate, so I would assume some sort of weapon.
No.
But he's not brandishing it. If that's whatever he's armed with.
I just wanted to know if he had a weapon like at his waist, because if so,
he'd probably have a cutlass.
Yeah. In that case, I'm just going to follow after Ollie, and I'm going to see if I can draw that cutlass and just like cut off the head of the helmsman right now. I'm like,
nice. Excellent. Most excellent.
I love this plan. Nothing can go wrong.
Like I said, default plan murder. Like,
yes. Yes.
Even if it is my trouble, it is in fact just I'm gonna go do that.
Right.
So,
okay. So
I don't know if I should consider that a compel, but like, because it probably does not put us in a great position necessarily.
No, but it's not in a whole lot worse than you already were.
Yeah.
Like it could be just proactively taking the situation.
Yeah.
Roll your quick.
Ooh, yeah, that's a crit success.
Yeah!
So that's a 6.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
you succeed with style. And so for an attack, what does it mean when you succeed with style?
Of course it does. Default plan. I'm good at it.
Right? So
Really works.
you do. You come right up after Ollie, and the captain had just noticed it too, but he just kind of rolled his eyes and kept doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
And you come up after he's turned his attention back. One fluid motion just and it just flying to the point where it like hits the back of the wall behind you.
What are you? Oh.
And it's so clean of a cut, surgical precision, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even fall immediately. It's just kind of like, and it
I just kind of
crumbles
like gently tip the body away and go. I'll take the helm for the moment. Like, why not?
Okay, so that creates a boost for you. I'm not like maybe it's a boost of confidence, like that just went really well.
Yeah.
There's nothing really
just,
situational there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else to call it other than that. I just kind of am feeling pretty good about that. That worked well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So as the head, bong bong bong, and the body clunk. It knocks over a few more buckets, and the captain is like, he turns and he says, "You're more trouble than you're worth." And he is pretty urgent about coming at you. He is coming to attack you right now. He's not going to order anyone else. He ignores everybody else.
Can I intervene? And
As
I
hear that, I'm just going to say, Ollie, I believe we might have company soon.
Quick question. The body, like...
No, I'm not going to call you Ollie. I have to call you Oliver. I don't call anyone
Yes, you do.
else.
You do. You do.
Oliver, I believe we're going to have company.
All right, Mickey, I'm ready.
Quick question. Did you say there was 1 or 2 people coming, like, past me when I pushed forward?
There were 2.
Okay.
There were 2. So we haven't resolved what's happening with your ghoulie.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I try and intervene and chat with the captain and see if I can persuade him to,
you want
plus with the bandits?
Okay. Where were you at the
talk
time?
If you like, but it would be easier to kill him.
Right.
It was,
How far are you?
I imagine as soon as
Rika.
Jean-Louis had come out that we kind of all started moving. So I probably would be like on the stairs.
Okay. Yeah. How do you want to intervene to try and stop the good doctor from doing what he does best?
Oh, no. I wanted to try and intervene between the captain going to attack
yes.
Rika. It's Rika, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he would also be like, that would be an attack there, and that the doctor would have no qualms engaging with and, murder.
Yeah. But I wanted to go in.
But you want to get in between.
Yeah. I just want to get in and be like, wait, hold on 1 second. Let's just talk about this for a second.
Okay.
And
so, yeah. Okay, roll a...
using my flashy skill?
I think you would need to describe how it would be flashy. It could be, but right now it sounds more like quick, because I think the captain might be a little bit closer than you right now.
Okay. Okay, I'll take quick. That's fine.
Okay.
I was thinking flashy because I was thinking like getting him to stop because I'm persuading him to.
Yeah, you're trying to negotiate.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, you want to get the attention on you, but I feel like that might be appropriate once you get there. If you get there in between them in time.
So I have to get there first, and then I have to be persuasive.
Yes, then you will be able to engage with the captain.
Gotcha.
Although I am at the helm, I'm only using it one-handed because I'm holding a sword in my other hands that I just took. But
3, you succeed. You kind of dodge around Doc and hop right up in between him, and the captain is not really like deterred by seeing this other mortal in front of him, and he is he's still coming in for an attack, even though you're right there.
Okay.
So would we roll?
I don't think these guys are exactly the calmly talking about it types.
Yeah.
Whether I had killed any of them or not, I doubt they would have been in a big negotiation mood.
Disinclined to acquiesce to your requests.
Yeah.
Means no.
And you know what? Once you get in there and he's coming in, you all feel this completely inexplicable koosh, and the ship lurches as if maybe it's hit a rock or something. That's the closest thing, but it's not really that. And you know you're deep at sea, so it couldn't have been a rock. You know, like, the general area you were. There were no rocks here.
Dang it, the crack has come to get us, you guys.
Okay, so that's kind of caught him off guard, and if a ghoul could look even more pale and pasty white, he just blanches as much as a sea ghoul can. And
it's just one predator scaring off another predator the whole session.
There's always a bigger fish. Oh, so good.
I don't know if that ended up being perfectly in sync on your side, but it was over here.
Oh, it's awesome. Okay, so yeah, he completely, like, turns away from you. You are no longer his problem. And he says, all hands! All hands! And he's just shouting, all hands. And everyone drops what they were doing with the rigging. And they are going for buckets. And, I mean, if anyone can hold two and feel like they could hold them and maneuver them, they're doing that, being very careful to hold on to it. And are you going on with murder? Are you observing? What do you do at this point?
Well, if the captain is distracted, murder continues as far as I'm concerned. He's the like, he's not paying attention to me anymore. That makes it easier for me to kill him. And, like, if he's in charge around here, then, like, he's probably one of the people we need to be more concerned about, at least among these. I'm like, sure, there's another problem, but this is one that's right in front of me. I can deal with this one directly at the moment. And so...
Okay. So... All right. Yes.
I'm gonna try and, like, talk him out of it. Like, look.
Talk Doc down.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk Doc down.
Okay.
Look.
Go ahead.
So it's a big bad monster, but we might want to figure out what's happening first before we kill this captain. And
regardless of whether we deal with the problem of a large monster, there is still going to be the problem of these ones.
Right.
It's like we are facing two problems. I can we can make that number decline.
But I'm saying, let's figure out what the big problem is first before we take care of the immediate problem, because they might be able to help us figure it out.
I don't think they're the sort who are inclined to help anyone.
Okay, so, Chris, Jean-Louis, let's back up a little bit and talk about what happened with your one pirate, because we kind of left that hanging for a bit. And let's catch you back up to Kaboom.
So I would
15 seconds earlier.
So I would have tried to. I would push the one behind because So I wanted to see if I could do like a sneaky to try and like grab his sword. The one who was in front.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Go for it.
Okay.
Roll for his side.
Okay, so that's a 1 plus 3, so 4.
Nice.
Yeah, you succeed. You're able to draw his sword from behind him. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna kill him. Hopefully.
I'm a kill.
Okay. All right. Let's roll. We have to roll speed, quick to determine the order of the attack. Yes.
Okay.
For physical conflicts, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Although, if he successfully sneakily stole the sword, I'm not sure whether this one
It might
would
be
even
just a sneak attack. That's true. Okay. Yeah. So.
I'm not sure how it's ruled exactly.
Like,
because would it count as basically an ambush?
Right.
And...
Yeah, that makes sense. Whereas you were coming straight at the helmsman, he's got his sword from behind, sneakily. Okay, yeah, I'd say you can attack him. Still give it a roll to see. I mean, anything could happen.
Oh yeah. Which aspect am I using?
Well, how would you like to try to attack him?
How do you want to do this?
Because it could go awry.
I mean, right now I'm just trying to do everything as sneakily as I can, but if I'm trying to kill him, would it be forceful?
Well, it depends on how you want to do it. If you wanted to
describe your action,
ram him through, or if you wanted to slit his throat, or like, how would you physically? If you imagine it being sneaky, how do you imagine sneaky going?
Oh, just going behind, grabbing the sword, and just trying to stab or slice whatever.
Slice? Okay. Yeah. Are you going for the torso or going for a slicey like this? Trying to take off the head?
Keep it quiet.
Actually, what I'll do is I'll take him from behind him and stab him in the back and try and cover his mouth.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, go for a sneaky.
All right. That is a 3.
All right, you succeed with style.
Nice.
And so he is now stabbed and silent, and you get a free invoke on that, a boost on that.
Is that the +2 or?
It is a +2, but it's the one-time +2. So it's a boost, so you only get to use it once. It's not going to be a permanent aspect.
Oh, I don't have to use it right now.
No, but it kind of is relevant to this situation. You don't have to use it this instant, no.
I just killed the guy, so I'm just trying to figure out how to use it.
Well, he's not actually, like...
Toss him over the edge.
Get
rid of the body.
Oh, yeah. He's dead. So he's slumping. He didn't get out any death cry. So...
Okay, I'll just throw
he's
him
down.
overboard.
Okay. Yeah. And... yeah. Go ahead. Throw him overboard. And...
Well, first, does he have any other, like, knives or swords or anything?
If you want to check him, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and check him. Give me a careful roll.
Okay. I will do I will use it on that because that's a -1, so...
Yeah, good idea.
And my careful score is... I think I'm starting to lose my voice. So 2?
Okay, yeah. You find that he had a dagger in his pocket.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll grab the dagger, kind of toss him over, and start heading towards the dock and Oliver.
Okay. All right. So you're kind of up there on deck when the big lurch happens. And I think we're back up to speed with everyone.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Cool. Awesome.
And I offer the dagger to either Mal or Oliver, whoever wants it.
I was gonna steal a dagger off the dead body if it had one.
Oh, cool.
I'd like to see it slump down. I'm like, anything useful? But then I was gonna be like,
You want to roll a careful.
Yeah.
You could do that before the lurch. I think it would happen before the lurch.
How'd I do that? That's impressive. Careful is total of 4. Yeah.
Oh yeah, use 60 style, and you find a knife and kind of a nice-ish end one that you wouldn't expect a ghoul to have, and some brass knuckles.
Oh yeah!
Nice.
Awesome.
No, you find a brass knuckle knife.
Oh yeah.
That's what you
Better.
find. That's what you
Yeah. And then my next plan was, but I was planning on doing it probably after the lurch. So I'd like pick up the knife, like yeah, lurch, and then I was gonna run up the riggings up to the crow's nest to get my vantage point,
Oh, okay.
so I can
Cool.
see what's going on. And be like, okay, I got to get everything in view because I can't see anything down here. So I'm gonna run up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guess that's my
Okay.
plan.
Yes, I like it.
I am still going to try to attack the captain. I don't think that he is going to help us in the slightest. I think that
So
he is only a threat to us as far as I can tell. So I'm just gonna go and probably once again just I don't know exactly what works on these guys, so I'm just gonna continue to try beheading them because so far that's worked fine. Like
Worked so far.
I've got it. They're powerless without their heads.
Since I can't persuade him not to kill the captain, I'm gonna run over and grab the helm. I'm the
Okay.
navigator, that's what I do.
Right? Pretty natural position. Dig it. Okay. Roll a quick for me because you're not completely sneaking up on him.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong freaking stuff.
Let's see, that is a 4 for my quick.
Okay, yeah, you are definitely first.
And then for the actual attack, I'm not sure. Probably just quick as well.
Yeah.
Alright, that's a 3. I'm also going to invoke Murder Usually Works.
Oh, yeah.
Make
Excellent.
that a 5.
Yeah. Oh, come back here. Oh, man. Okay. So,
In fact,
yeah.
I might also invoke my high concept just to add another 2 to that attack. Make it a 7. I want the captain gone.
Yes.
So, like as many advantages I can, like as many threats as I can eliminate, I just want them gone. So,
Right. So, you definitely hit him. He is definitely hit, but the captain is made of a bit tougher stuff than his crew.
yeah.
Okay, so he is it doesn't behead him because that would basically nullify him. So it takes him hard across the shoulder and down across back, and and he was trying to block you because he saw you coming, but he didn't get there. You were much quicker than him. You were like a scalpel in time.
Yeah.
So he's turned back and he's angry and he's got all this going on. He's like, he just starts kind of laughing like, you'll be through with your mortality soon enough, by my hand or not. And there's another thunk on the ship. It's not as jarring, but you do start seeing tentacles creeping up and over the sides of the ship.
I
You all
knew
was
it.
coming. You all knew it was coming.
Yeah.
It wasn't subtle.
Well, Since this problem is starting to come and we have one in front of us, could I assist in the next murder attempt of the captain, since I have a sword too?
Oh, sorry.
It's like, I mean, better a kraken and like a pirate crew that doesn't have a captain than than both.
Yeah. If I'm there by then, I want to help assist kill the captain.
Oh.
Okay. So, as you see these coming up, pirates who only have one bucket are trying to slash at the tentacles, and others are they're holding their buckets. They haven't done anything with them yet. So you're going to make another attack on the captain. Yes. But he gets a turn too, right? Because you were first, but okay. So he is going to, instead of engaging you, he's actually going to leave this upper deck and go down and start fighting the tentacles. So he's like, I got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. In a manner of speaking.
In a manner of speaking. And as he goes down the steps, the head of what it
Can you guys actually hear? Because everything...
I can't hear, no.
We just lost your audio. Okay.
I like saw her face the moment she realized that nobody could hear her.
Yeah.
Because she's there talking and all of a sudden she goes, "Oh no!"
Ah!
Hey, there you are.
No,
I
wait
was-
wait a breath.
doing stuff. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so yeah. The pirates are all hacking at the tentacles, and the head looms out of the water. And from its eyes, they are a pure ghostly white, and there's white mist emanating from his eyes, just kind of trailing out of this kraken's eyes. And as they're fighting it and it comes up, a few of the ghouls try and throw the water at the eyes towards the head. They're hopelessly short, and the captain says, "It's a waste of good water, stop that!" And so he just kind of dives in, going after the tentacles. Yeah, the tentacles are thrashing across the deck and knocking buckets and pirates higgledy-piggledy. It's grabbing them, ripping them up, and throwing them into the ocean. and it's doing damage to the ship. There are parts of the deck that are getting smashed. It's hit the mast a couple times as it's thrashing through, and everyone roll a quick for me, please.
It's a 2 for Rika.
It's me as well.
2 for Ollie.
How does Jean-Louis roll his quick? 4. Awesome. Okay, so one of the tentacles whips over and through the upper deck, but it doesn't catch anybody on its way by. It actually catches the body of the helmsman and thrashes around and beats it on the deck a little bit before throwing it in the ocean.
Sucker!
And it's...
I don't think he was particularly bothered by it.
Which is interesting because the Kraken is kind of watching a little bit. So, I mean, he might have known that it was dead, but he still took the time to thrash it about a little bit. And the crew is decimated, and the captain looks back at you one last time. Enjoy your last breaths of mortality, as he gets smashed, flicked into the ocean.
And like just before that, I just want to as far as like enjoy whatever hell awaits you.
So he's just been thrashing about, and it's reaching around looking for more, and kind of like putting tentacles into the below, trying to search around for any more that might be down there. And it's kind of looked your way after it grabbed that body, but it doesn't seem very interested in you.
Yeah, we're not pirates. Like, well, not these pirates. We're not.
Yes,
we're not.
You are distinctly
we're
different
pirates,
brand of
but
pirates.
we are alive, and
Yes, you are. You are.
we're not a blight upon the seas.
Exactly. So
who broke a deal with Davy Jones?
right. So as he's doing this, I'm trying to decide if I take this to the next step and we keep going, or we give it a little bit of a pause, because this is about as close as a pause as we're gonna get in this storyline.
Yeah, it is midnight, so
Yes,
Probably a good spot for pause.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
we can probably make a little more progress. Yeah, we can probably make a little more progress the next time when we come back to it, because we won't have as much like trying to familiarize ourselves with the system again and that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, we'll have our sea legs on.
Heidi might be able to join.
Yes, and hopefully Heidi will be all better, and hopefully Granny will be.
You can find the granny. Where's granny? So I thought of another aspect to add to my thing. It's called coming home to roost. So it's the fact that like the crow's nest is where I'm the most comfortable at. So yeah, crow's nest, roosting. Yeah, anyway.
That's funny.
So it's like whenever I'm going up riggings or anything, or going back to the crow's nest, that's where I'm like, yeah, I gotta get there because that's where I'm safe, kind of a thing.
Right. Good idea, because your trouble might balance out your trouble there.
Yeah.
As long as I'm going to the crow's nest, I'll be okay.
If I'm going up the crow's nest. Yes, okay.
Excellent.
Sums
And
that up a little bit.
is as we figure out aspects and stuff, let me know if there's aspects that you have that you haven't messaged me or something yet. Just send those to me, and I'll be able to keep them
Perfect.
up while we play feature. Ooh, we haven't even gotten to the juicy parts.
No.
Maybe just it's probably
like, there's more.
Right.
Yeah.
It's probably more just juicy to me because it's a little more story based. We've hit a lot of the action.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's not over, but
Yeah.
We're all going to die. Accelerated death is what Fate Accelerated stands for.